What in the hell do you think you're doing?
Hey, John Boy.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway. So anybody wants to walk, do it now.
Hey, everybody, we're all gonna get laid.
And again, it's picked up. It's Darius Leonard, a pick six for the Maniac. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. Yes, sir.
Was kept alive by Oladipo. And Sabonis with a left hand.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
And like daily, we got a lot to get to today, so go ahead and lock it in. I know a lot of you are probably checking out IU in Texas right now in the semifinals of the Maui Invitational by way of Asheville, North Carolina. And let me just tell you this, quick thumbnail sketch, IU can't shoot a lick, or at least they can't hit a lick in a game in which Texas now has a 15-point advantage, 44-29 as it stands right now with under 13 to go in the second half of play. If you're an IU fan, you've been watching this, you probably, or maybe you found something else to watch because it's been absolutely dreadful. If you like offense and scoring and shooting, this is not the IU game for you right here, because it has been a struggle from the outset. And Texas gets an and one, and three more coming up on the board. There you go. We'll keep you updated on that. I'm going to see if I can get Rab Johns a little bit later on, find out his thoughts on this game moving forward, talk a little bit about IU football, some Big Ten football. Looks like Ohio State's going to get it done this weekend. We'll see. No Ryan Day. But Ohio State's going to play some football just for some eligibility. The interesting if Michigan can't go in that final game, and then there you go, boom, can't do it. But Ohio State hopeful to play coming up on Saturday. Of course, we'll get to the Colts coming up in a minute. Pacers had their media day via Zoom a little bit earlier today, and of course, Victor Oladipo got asked a lot of questions surrounding the reports that he wanted out, that he wants to leave, and he denies those reports, denies wanting to leave. Again, what it comes down to is he didn't like Nate. He is certainly glad that Nate's gone. He likes this Nate so far, and he doesn't have any trust with front office folks. That's the way that it is. That's it right now. And sure, and part of it is he doesn't want the image that he has right now. Yet he and those around him have placed him with that image, and he doesn't like it. But there are some things that he does not like about this organization, one of which is now gone. So, I mean, who knows in this entire thing? I mean, maybe you get a saving grace. Maybe he ups his game, feeling better, as he talked about a little bit earlier today. You know, kind of breaks out, feeling good, playing well, playing at a high level, and really likes the head coach, feels a cohesion. I mean, I don't know. But I'm just telling you what has been the past. So you weren't going to find anything out there today. Even if you were looking to find anything out today, you weren't going to find anything out. That is not surprising. By the way, shout out to the Pacers. They sent over a jersey. I haven't gotten it out of the box yet because if you look at me on YouTube Live right now, I'm rocking the pink B1057 Soft Rock t-shirt that I pulled out of the garbage here last year and I started wearing, right? So I got to wear this. But I'm going to tell you, these uniforms are awesome. I'm sorry, I love the pinstripes. I love the blue. The blue and gold pinstripes, I love. I don't see why you would have a problem with that. And I'm not going to sit here and argue over uniforms and what's great. You know what I think is great? I mean, a tip of the cap to back in the day, you will have me there. I love that blue color. I love the gold. We'll open it up and we'll show you on YouTube Live inside the lounge coming up in a bit. But I like them. Hopefully you do too. Eddie, they call the city. Those are the cities. Ooh, those are badass cities right there. I think they should wear those all the time. Do they have a reversal? Do they have a gold and blue stripes too?
I wish they did.
That's badass. Keep going with that. I like it. Hey, you got a guy that loves old school uniforms, but man, I dig those. Wasn't Danny Ainge trying to shop around? Did he, like some of his minions on the East Coast? Jeff Goodman's one, and he doesn't even cover the NBA. But did he not throw out Kemba Walker as a trade possibility with a knee injury? Did I not hear that a couple of weeks ago? Now you see that Kemba Walker has a knee problem and is not going to participate until January. I thought, and I know that surprised a lot of people because he just came over in that free agent deal the year prior, but he was kind of being mentioned. It's Danny Ainge, man. Danny Ainge, and I guess if you're not out there trying to work over somebody, you're not trying. Danny Ainge is trying to work you over. Yet another reason why Kevin Pritchard, things may not be going right down there, but the right move to make, and as much as I do like Gordon Hayward, the right move to make was pulling an El Foldo on that deal. I don't know if you want to be paying Gordon that much money until he's 35. Actually, I do know you don't want to do that. And the other part of it is, I don't know if you want to be dealing with a snake, and Danny Ainge is a straight snake. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, we'll hit that. Colts met with the media, at least the Colts offensive coordinator, both Nick Sirianni and defensively Matt Eberflus. And we'll knock around this idea. I'm going to try to get Joe Reitz on here. I know Joe Reitz has a different gig, but as a former offensive lineman, and you guys had asked me, and I actually had answered this question, but you had asked me why, because LaRaven Clark has been so awful, why they didn't think about pushing Braden Smith from right tackle to left tackle and then slotting somebody in at right tackle, all this. And my answer was because you don't want to weaken one spot by moving somebody to the other. But I think right now that they're taking, again, all opportunities to think about this without utilizing LaRaven Clark. I mean, if you heard Frank last night on Colts Roundtable, he's talking about, maybe thinking about Braden Smith, maybe thinking about Quentin Nelson. I mean, not to suggest LaRaven Clark's out of the mix. The problem is you can't have a left tackle that your quarterback doesn't trust a lick, not a bit, not a skosh. And again, as we've talked about, for that quarterback to play at his best, he has to have some comfort. There's no comfort there. He has to have a rhythm in these games in which they have lost. At the quarterback position, what has been the determining factor? It has been making him uncomfortable. Games in which they've won, I mean, he's had time and felt good, and he got in this rhythm, and he would drop those fluttering dimes over the heads of linebackers and safeties and occasionally in the corner. Rick Venturi went at it last night, though. Rick Venturi was really good on Colts Roundtable. Talking about how the Colts, because of the quarterback situation, they don't utilize the entire field and went heavy in on Rock. And all of it was accurate. I mean, all of it was accurate. But if you missed that last night after this show, you missed a lot because he was on point with a lot of things. Yeah, and talking about Rock Ya-Sin, we were going yesterday with Stephen Holder about this. And with Rock Ya-Sin, I mentioned this. I used the word panic. Now, he's panicked. And Stephen and I were talking about it, and Stephen said, well, that's something you try to work through. I'm telling you, these guys, these cornerbacks especially, and Xavier Rhodes can tell you this, these cornerbacks are built differently. I mean, they are built to get burned and to immediately forget about it. They are built to not have on the occasional play, or in Rock's case, every other play, not to have any success, but to respond, to forget about it and move on to the next play. Not to panic, and he's panicking right now, and that seems like that is going to be a difficulty to work around because he panics on plays in which you wonder why. Why do you reach out and grab when it's obvious to everybody else? People have asked me, is that on coaching? I mean, at what level was it on coaching? I mean, he just kind of freaks out. It's what we talk about with Phillip Rivers when he's not comfortable. We talk about with Phillip Rivers when he's not in rhythm, when he's throwing off that back foot. I mean, you can tell. I mean, he's kind of lose it a little bit. You start throwing it up there. Throw it into double coverage, triple coverage. Man, Tennessee was going at it on Sunday with big-time shots in that secondary. I mean, that ball would flutter up there, take a little bit to land, and they were taking the shots. But you asked me this, and I don't know how you work around that. I just know this. I know that now is not the time to try to work around it. Now is not the time to hopefully mold this guy for the future because you got to win right now. And when you look back at that game on Sunday, a huge reason why they were so far behind the 8 ball, especially in the second half, late in the first half, was due to the play at corner. You know, they use that term all the time, game wrecker. That so-and-so is a game wrecker. He was a game wrecker for the Colts, and he's on the Colts, which is not good. So I don't know if you have any time. Actually, I do know you don't have any time to figure this out. I mean, you got a schedule moving forward where you have some have-tos. You have some evident have-tos. And we were kind of going back and forth last night, too. And people are giving me credit. And it's not like I need it, okay? I don't need it to feel good or to feel good with my ego or, you know, not be chafing. I'm not an easily chafed dude. I don't need it. But now everybody's kind of falling on board with my must win. It was kind of a joke. And, hey, look at this knucklehead saying must win, and it's week number 1. That's got to be crazy. Now you guys are on board with it, aren't you? Or at least you're starting to get on board with it. Because you can't call it NFL season, as Phillip Rivers did after the game on Sunday. Well, it's week to week. You felt really good last week, and you feel horrible this week. I mean, you can't call it week to week without putting a level of tremendous importance even on week number 1. Because that thing right now, that loss, is the only win on the Jacksonville schedule. And it sticks out like a sore damn thumb. So finally, here's what we got to do. We got to band together here. We got to band together, and we got to talk to the older folks. You know, they're doing the math. They still go by the math. And we got to teach them this. I guess it's new. It shouldn't be new because this has been a week-to-week sport for a long time. How important even these week 1 games with what most people felt was going to be a bottom feeder, not just in the AFC South, but in the entirety of football being Jacksonville. And the level of importance it is to sweep them. Just so happened they popped up in week number 1. That doesn't make it any less must win. So I'm glad a lot of you guys are coming on over and joining my camp right now. I appreciate you for that. I really do. Because it's necessary. And I promise you're going to see this play out here. You're going to look back at that again and go, you got to be kidding me. Talk about that for a while, even if we've forgotten about it. You know, even if games like the Packers or, you know, games like Tennessee on Thursday night give you cause to forget about it, you just know, especially in an AFC where you got, 9 teams with 6+ wins, it's going to haunt you. I know a lot of you guys can't stand Bill Walton. My mom doesn't like Bill Walton either. I love Bill Walton. I guess it comes down to this. When you want to watch your team and hear about your team playing, when you want that, you don't want to hear his content. But when you don't give a damn, like if Oregon's playing Cal or Oregon's playing Oregon State or Arizona and Arizona State, you know, on a late Thursday night, or it's a Gonzaga game or the WCC on a late Thursday night, late Saturday night, you don't give a damn, and it's pretty funny. I guess it doesn't bother me because I I watched the basketball for what it's worth here. By the way, IU has 31 points with 8:51 remaining in the second half. 31 points. Hell, it's week to week for them, too. Game to game for them. Everybody's feeling good after yesterday's win over Providence. And now everybody's going to be all over Archie Miller again after this. They've looked dreadful today. I sure as hell didn't think Texas looked that good yesterday against Davidson watching that. I mean, hell, it took a final shot for Texas to move on to the semifinals. But I just got nothing for them today. JMV, that loss to the Jags might have kept them from getting Trevor Lawrence. Glass half full. I'm telling you, I don't think anybody's worried about that. Everybody here and everybody over on 56th Street is worried about getting this postseason. But I get where you're going with it. I really do. That's pretty good. Yeah, I know a lot of you are saying, Bill Walton didn't even know that Trace Jackson Davis was Dale Davis' son. Probably didn't. He's probably talking about something else. I do kind of laugh at some of that stuff. I'm going to tell you, when I was down on Radio Row in Houston and he came on, we still use that as the open. He was awesome. Yeah, I remember I was down there. Tony Donahue was down there. He gave Tony Donahue his book that he was touting at the time and signed it to Larry Bird and wrote like a paragraph and a half or 2 paragraphs in a message and told Tony to go deliver it to Larry Bird, which Tony did. I said, Tony, man, keep that thing. Put that on eBay. Stat. But he actually delivered it to Larry Bird. You imagine Larry Bird probably got that and went, oh, my goodness. There are a lot of words written here. But I think it was like an hour-long interview. I just kind of sat there and said nothing, which I'm assuming a lot of people really enjoyed. And he was, talking about Bird and the Celtics and Indianapolis and the Pacers and John Wooden and Martinsville. And, it was something. I really enjoyed it, but I can kind of get if you – I'll give you a great example. The people in Texas right now are probably enjoying it because they're up 20+. They're probably enjoying it. Now, IU fans aren't because their team is sucking, and they're just kind of over it. So I think it just depends on what games he's doing and just how much you care about the teams of which he is doing the analyst work for. Pretty classic. All right, I got a lot laid out there for you. Your thoughts on Oladipo, and if we can wrangle that sound, Eddie, a little bit later on, he had like a $110. I think Bowen may have had that on Twitter. We'll give Bowen credit, unlike Schefter. We'll give Bowen credit for it. He had like a $110 of what Oladipo had to say earlier today at Media Day. We'll get your thoughts on that. And again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that you're not going to find what you're looking for here. I mean, the problem with Oladipo right now is that he has gone, and I'm telling you what, it is hard to do that. It is hard to go and completely transform a deeply rooted IU Hoosier State love that transferred to being the guy on a Pacer team, coming off a guy that wanted out of here in Paul George. I mean, just a tremendously bad moment. Of the past decade, the Paul George saga was maybe at the top of the list of the bad moments, but I would suggest this. The way this is all played out with Oladipo is worse because he comes at you as, from an IU fan standpoint, I mean, IU fans embrace him as an IU hero. One of them, one of you. And that's difficult to destroy or to hurt, and he's done a pretty damn good job of that here. I would have never thought. But again, you never know. You never know who you get around, who gets in your ear. What else is going on? What other things you have that you may want to end up doing. And I've said this all along. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sure Miami is great. You can live off of Key Biscayne. have a great-looking place, all of that. 5 or 10 people maybe will give a crap down there. I mean, seriously, a handful of people, yeah, whatever, right? And I'm talking about living destination. It sounds like a hell of a time. But as far as comparing that setting to this setting and how people feel about you, if they truly love you as an athlete and embrace you as a professional athlete here, and especially since he has roots down at IU, to me, it's not even close. And you can do all that crap. I mean, every day there's a new YouTube star born every single day that one of my kids say, hey, look at this, and I have no damn idea who they're talking about. It's normally some dude with pink or red or blue hair, and he's playing a video game, and he's this next great person. He's got one-word name. I have no idea who it is, and I sure as hell don't care who it is, but somebody is born every single day. You can do anything you want from right here. Did you guys happen to hear last Wednesday? I hope you did too, because I'm going to get him back on. Mike Wanchik, who has been in the Mellencamp Band since 1976, which to me, that's a big deal in itself. I'm sure there was some interesting back and forth all the time because Mellencamp's not the easiest dude in the world to get along with, right? So Wanchek's been in his band since 1976. And of all these great songs, these great albums, the guitar playing, the arrangements, he has been responsible for a great deal of it, without question. And we had him on Wednesday. Jeffrey Gorman got him on the show on Wednesday. I loved it. I could have talked for an hour with the guy because I just love it. You know, he's a big Colts fan, goes to every Colts game, big-time friends with Jim Irsay. Jim Irsay has this incredible guitar collection, and I think Mike has played most of them, as he mentioned. But, you know, he talked about how they had the opportunity to go to L.A. and live that life and the Hollywood lifestyle or New York or any of that. They chose to stay here because they're comfortable with that. And because they also know, and that's even a different time, they also know now that you don't need to go out there. I mean, you can be big right here. And it was a different time for them because they didn't have all that we have today to get noticed, you know, to build that fan base. I mean, they had to do it by opening up for Judas Priest, which is an odd comeback. I don't know who in the world said, yeah, you know what? Why don't you guys open up for Judas Priest? But, man, people around here appreciate that. And especially after that first year here for Vic and what he turned into, if you were to fast forward and to tell me now, I'm a little bit more jaded, though. I mean, we've been through Paul George and Andrew Luck, so I'm not probably going to dismiss anything as absolutely unbelievable any longer because we've been down too many forks in the road where it has become reality. But if you were to told me after year number one that Oladipo and then the embracement that he gets from the fans here in the state of Indiana, in this area, whether it's IU or Pacer fans, was going to be transformed into what it is today, I'd have been floored. And that's exactly what it's done. It takes a lot of damn work to get that done. It does. In the opposite direction. So we'll see. For those of you that, you know, are banking on hopefully a olive branch and some cohesion and a rejuvenated interest, I mean, you got a new head coach, and his name is Nate, but it's not McMillan. So at least Vic is going to buy into that. A lot of other players will buy into that too, which again is the chief reason as to why that decision was reversed and then made. But there are some hills to overcome there too. If there's anything at all left with this organization, there's hills to overcome within that organization. All right, quick break and we'll come back. Greg Rakestraw, I thought, had an outstanding Friday and Saturday, and I mentioned this yesterday. For high school football, that was such a job well done. Job well done. And congratulations to all the high schools that won state titles. I mean, for me, I got a kid that goes to Ron Colley. And Coach Stryker called in here yesterday, who's a special teams guy. They had a great run. Eric Moore has been a friend of mine. And I got another kid that goes not to Center Grove High School, but to elementary down there, Walnut Grove. And I know how much time and effort that Eric has put to build that program to where it is, the level of importance where it is today. It's been amazing to watch. And you know, a lot of these guys, too, will also tell you, if you talk to them, just how much also goes into those that are around them. Not just necessarily their assistant coaches, but those that also they trust in handling the younger groups. You know, building that program doesn't start when they hit freshman year in high school. I mean, if you're running the wing T down there when basically you pop out of the womb and you're running the wing T. And then, all right, here's the ball, run the wing T. Fastest guy gets it, go. It's pretty amazing. That's what's necessary. It is. We'll talk to Greg Rakestraw about that. College hoops, IU down 56-32 right now with 6 minutes remaining in the second half of play from Asheville in the Maui Invitational. Greg Rakestraw, bottom of the hour. Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. We are going to crunch some of the numbers and his thoughts according to PFF. I ask you this, and this might be a good Connecticut water question of the day. You still a believer in this Colts team being a playoff team? Or was there some whiz in the Wheaties distributed as to what you saw against Tennessee this past Sunday? And this team and how it looked without DeForest Buckner. A lot has been made. Many people have suggested this guy is an absolute defensive player of the year because look what happens when he is out. We'll have Sam crunch some numbers from PFF, top of the 4 o'clock hour. Zach Kiefer is going to join us in the 5 from the Athletic 2. I'm going to see if I can get both Joe Wrights on here because I want to talk about Braden Smith moving from right tackle to left tackle. Is that feasible? Or Quentin Nelson doing from left guard to left tackle. Is that feasible? And just some of the insight and inner workings on how that could happen. So I'm going to try to get Joe on here. Maybe we'll reach out to Rab Johns about this abomination of a basketball game coming up in just a bit from Peegs.com. 239-1070. Email address at jmv at 1070thefan.com. This show is on YouTube Live inside the lounge. Thank you very much for joining us. I have news regarding New Year's Eve. I've got your New Year's Eve party, and this is going to be even better. Shout out to Evan Williams, our friends Brent Halverson and Randy Strand, Evan Williams, and Zinc and Mick Ultra. We've got 2 major sponsors, and we are also going to bring the New Year's Eve party to you because I'm assuming most of you are going to be in your home. Going to love this. I'll share that with you coming up a little bit later on. 239-1070. Phone calls, Greg Rakestraw, and a lot more on this busy Tuesday. Next.
This is Jerome Bettis, and I want to introduce you to my friends at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Bet Rivers is the #1 sportsbook across the way in Illinois and the trusted partner of French Lick Casino here in Indiana. Bet Rivers truly cares about your satisfaction and works hard to deliver a sports betting experience second to none. Make your next bet with the trusted team at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Go to betrivers.com and bet with the winner.
Must be 21 or over to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448. Playable only in Indiana.
When it comes to working at Geico, our best advocates are our employees, like Maxine. But since she is so focused on growing her career, we hired an actor to read her story.
At Geico, I love mentoring the new associates to help them make this a career and not just a job.
And with new opportunities and job stability, Geico has been helping people grow their careers for over 75 years. The only downside, she still hasn't met the gecko. Where are you, fella?
Ready to start your career, Indy? We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Indy.
A paddle gently dips in and out of emerald green waters. The sun shimmers through the mangroves in the early morning light. High above the Gulf, the wind whips through your hair as you look down upon the miles and miles of white sand beaches below, as you glide through the sky in a parasail. Soothing sounds of the waves beckon you to dive into the Gulf during your day at the beach. Just below the surface, the fish swim around you as you snorkel on the water's surface, taking in sea life as the afternoon sun warms your back. Around every corner, the water welcomes you to explore all it has to offer. Welcome to St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, where all things vibrant and vivid come together. Book fully refundable exclusive offers of up to 55% off with no risk on your next escape at embraceyoursenses.com.
Every game has 1,000 storylines. So if you've got an angle, a hunch, or some info you got from that guy in 10 fantasy leagues across the street, Unibet's got that bet. Unibet Sportsbook has all the bets you need for every game. Sign up today and get $30 to bet with. No deposit required. Download the app or visit in.unibet.com. Unibet Sportsbook. Crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in Indiana. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
At Pierce Jewelers, they know what it means to give a gift that represents an everlasting moment in your life. If you're looking for that perfect gift, Pierce Jewelers is the place to go. They know what family is all about because they're Carmel's family jewelry store. So this Christmas, come see how their exquisite, one-of-a-kind custom pieces of jewelry, fine craftsmanship, and unique styles can become one of your family's timeless treasures. To make those special moments matter and make them count, shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers, 114 East Carmel Drive.
Have you locked in on your refinance yet? What are you waiting for? Apply online today with our 5-minute loan approval, only available at thehomeloanexpert.com.
Hey, JMV here, and it's time for today's soccer scoreboard update brought to you by the hometown club, the Indy 11. Indy 11 holiday gift packs are now on sale. They start at just $16 and include a mix of tickets to a 2021 game. Team gear, even Indy 11 coffee, everybody. Dig that. Order yours, Indy11.com today. A battle between the top two teams in Group D, Liverpool taking on Ajax right now. 28th minute, Eddie. No score in that contest to this point. And Man U and Porto also playing to a scoreless result to this point. 28th minute working right now. We'll keep you updated on that and give you some finals a little bit later on. Again, you got the Indy 11 and the holiday gift packs on sale now, starting at $16, including a mix of tickets for the 2021 game, team gear, even Indy 11 coffee. Order that. It's awesome, by the way. Check it out, too, and order yours today, Indy11.com.
And Indiana is going to come away with their 5th win of the season.
Indiana hits the road to Wisconsin for another huge matchup.
And what a catch is made on the near sideline.
Your 10th-ranked Hoosiers take on the Badgers Saturday.
Into the end zone, touchdown Indiana.
Our coverage starts at 2:30.
Pops through, easy touchdown one for Stevie Scott.
Kickoff with Don Fisher at 3:30.
Indiana comes up with a great sack.
Your home for Indiana University football. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Wow. I don't know what to say. I guess the only thing I can say is I'll promise to keep rocking and rolling, making better films.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, top of the hour. Zach Kiefer's going to stop by from The Athletic. IU down 63-41 with under 3.5 to go in the second half of play in what has been a completely uninspiring performance, to say the least. By the way, shout out to the Pacers again, too. Thank you guys for the jerseys. I love the new cities. Love them. Anybody not? I mean, everybody's on board with me, right? I'm a uniform guru. I don't wear, like, I don't wear the gear, but I'm a uniform guru. Like, I'll wear old school stuff. It's in the form of a T-shirt, right? I love the new cities. Thank you, Pacers. Shout out to the Pacers. That's well done. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Speaking of well done, what a great weekend for our next guest, both Friday and Saturday And equally great job by all the schools involved. And I mean everybody around the state. Whether or not you won a title, it was a great job all the way around. Tremendous job by the IHSAA. And Greg Rakestraw joins us now. I thought Friday and Saturday was fantastic. And, we're always chasing the tail of normalcy, right? For the past 6+ months. That gave you that feeling on Friday and Saturday if you were watching on TV.
It did, and thank you for that. And I hope that my phone has a sense of normalcy as in good, because today's like the first day I'm like, man, it's too cold to stand outside in case the phone goes haywire while I'm talking with you. So I'll ride it from the sunroom as best I can. But no, kudos to Lucas Oil, the Colts, and to the IHSAA. Obviously, the games were different. There were fans in the 300 and 400 levels, which had not happened before. There was far more time between games to be able to get as many fans in the building as possible. The attendance totals were right around 23,000, and there was not to be a max of more than 7,000 during any particular game. So instead of playing at, say, 12, 3:30, and 7, our games were more like 11, 4:15, and 8:30. But who cares? We were able to play. We got through a high school football season. And there were fans in the stands for virtually every game played this year. And, I don't have the official number in front of me, but my guess would be we played 90 to 95% of the possible games we could have played during the course of the fall.
Right.
That's pretty doggone good considering the circumstances.
I completely agree. And a job well done all the way around. And you guys in particular, whether it was on TV or radio, it was just an outstanding watch and listen all the way around. Greg Rakestraw joins us. People are complaining right now regarding Bill Walton. And I will tell you this, Bill Walton is a hell of a lot less annoying than watching IU offensively. Let me tell you that.
That is correct. And I forget who said this yesterday, and it may have been you, so if I'm stealing from your Twitter feed, I apologize. But somebody that put it very well, that Bill Walton's entertaining unless he is broadcasting the game involving your team.
There's no doubt. No doubt.
I don't just keep watching the game because of Bill Walton, but I have been around him enough, and obviously we play, you play that as part of your intro at the beginning of each show from when we were at the Final Four a handful of years ago. Bill is an unbelievable character. I'm not sure if it's my favorite style of broadcasting, but you should kind of know what you're in for when Bill Walton's going to broadcast your game. And I guarantee you there'd be a lot less bitching going on if the Hoosiers weren't down by 22 in the second half.
That's where it matters right there. Exactly where it matters. And here's the thing, too. If you're Archie Miller, you felt good after yesterday. These are exactly the types of games that Archie Miller just can't handle. I mean, you can't have any longer. I mean, we've been through that song and dance of waiting. I mean, this is embarrassing, honestly, Greg, watching this right now.
If there is ever a year where I tend to go, hey, let's see what the end product is going to be, this is the year. Just because nothing has been normal. Everything has been fits and starts. I'm not trying to say they're playing well today. They're not. But there's going to be more surprise losses this year and more ugly performances because you just haven't had the normal ability to get ready and play and prepare the way you would in earlier seasons. So today is fugly is the best way to describe it. It's not good, and no, you shouldn't be playing the way that they are. But there's going to be some odd things happen this year. It's just par for the course.
It's Greg Rakestraw with us. What are your thoughts on Purdue, having seen them play so far?
Obviously a little bit of up and down. The big fella has been tremendous. And if there is a certainty in life, having a talented 7-footer doing great things at Purdue seems to now be one of them. We're not going to learn anything by playing Oakland today. They're playing as many guaranteed games as possible, trying to cash as many checks as possible before Horizon League play starts in a couple of weeks. We will learn more about Purdue the next couple of weeks with having the Big Ten ACC Challenge, with having the Crossroads Classic. And that's the thing about the way things work out this year. We were heading that direction anyway. But now when you play even less games this year, at most you're playing 2 or 3 games against non-Power 5 competition. So we will learn things more quickly. But for Purdue, more good than bad so far. we'll continue to learn more about him very quickly in the month of December.
How good do you think Edie can be? I mean, we saw guys, with Harms and then Haas transform their games, but this kid seems like that there's a huge, and there has to be a huge ceiling wherever he goes at 7'3", but he's got a huge ceiling as a big man.
His background of playing other sports intrigues me in terms of what he can do from an athletic standpoint, and obviously the God-given gift of height that he has. Not that, 20 years ago, you say, okay, let's see how he does in the Big Ten because of all the dominant big men. Well, not every program has a dominant big man anymore. That's not exactly the way that it is, rounding out. But let's let him play for longer than a week of this basketball season and see how it plays out. Let's let him get even to the end of December, because by that time you would have played a couple pre-conference games and a couple of more games against major conference competition. But through the first 3 or 4 games in the first week of his career, sky's the limit, and he might be a one-and-done level kid, too.
Hey, what's this going to do with the pausing inside the program at Butler?
It's going to throw them back just a little bit. I mean, basically, they're losing all of one game. I don't think a determination has been made yet for the upcoming game against Northern Kentucky. This is going to be a retooling year anyway. They lost so much. And then again, you get hit by the double whammy of not being able to prepare and play the normal schedule that you would when you've got a young basketball team. I think this is going to be a struggle regardless for the Butler Bulldogs, and having to park it for a week is going to do nothing to help them whatsoever.
So Greg Raystraw, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What do you think about IU football moving forward with Jack Tuttle and the loss with Michael Penix? And people have been talking about what's ultimately going to happen with Ohio State. The chances you think that IU could come out of this, and I know that a lot hinges on what takes place at Camp Randall this weekend.
Correct. You want to say long-term, they're clearly better off with Penix.
Sure.
But in a game or two, I think Tuttle's going to be fine. The difference is now everything that Maryland did, and obviously Maryland may not have had a chance to game plan the way they normally would because of them being on the COVID break before going to play in Bloomington over the course of the weekend. But now Wisconsin can game plan for Tuttle as compared to Maryland, who probably didn't, nor should they have. In some sense, Indiana's already playing with house money because of the teams they have already beaten this year, and knowing that even in a shortened season, they are guaranteed of having a winning season. And now the boxes left to check off for Indiana are ensure you beat your rival in Purdue, and assuming that there is a close to full bowl season, because we've had, 9 bowl games already canceled. IU would have a seat at the bowl table, regardless of how it plays out, if the current bowl games stand. But if we get to a point where maybe they're only going to play the college football playoff and selected other ones, what's to say that IU is guaranteed a bowl seat? So it's really about just kind of checking off boxes at this point. And if this golden opportunity falls into their lap, where Ohio State can't continue their season or aren't eligible for the Big Ten championship game, and IU gets to play in it, well, that's wonderful. So I think if you're IU, like everybody else these days, don't get too far into long-term planning. Just say, okay, what we got this week? All right, we're going to play Wisconsin. Does Jack Tuttle give them a chance to beat Wisconsin? Yes, he does. Is he going to give you all the superlative plays that Penix could? No. But let's not forget, Michael Penix couldn't hit the broadside of a barn throwing the football on Saturday in the first half, and Indiana's defense bailed them out and kept them in that game and kept them in front in that game as well. So I think Indiana's going to be all right. And again, for Indiana, it's just a matter of, hey, you have a chance to exercise some long-term demons when playing Wisconsin coming up on Saturday afternoon.
I have heard a lot of Boilermaker, and people have suggested, well, this is a season where, you automatically get a do-over and not that big of a deal. You've read that. But then in the land of Purdue right now, people are just saying, where is this program considering where they thought it was going to be, pandemic or not? Is that the right tack to take? Is that justified for the Boilermaker fans? Because I feel that it is. I mean, you're continuously searching for more, and it's not happening. And it's a bad feel, I think, for Boilermaker football fans right now.
Correct. Nothing's going to happen for next year because of the pandemic. Simply put, you have to be either a place where people are crazy zealous and can apparently print money, like a South Carolina, where they have struggled in SEC play for more than they haven't in 3 decades, but yet they still think, you know what, buying out Will Muschamp at $13 million, we can do that. Or you're a school like Vanderbilt, where literally you use your kicker one time for the opening second half kickoff, and you don't score against Missouri, the team you should be competitive with in the SEC. Say, okay, fine, we have to make a move. The margin of error for coaches has gotten substantially higher for the next year or two, because that money that potentially is there to make a coaching move and bring in a new coach, simply put, does not exist in most programs. And I'm not saying how Purdue's playing is worthy of a fireable offense, but, let's be real. The real world interferes here. And so Jeff Brom's going to be the football coach next year. But is it safe to say the bloom is off the rose and that this program, I'm not saying permanently, has plateaued under Jeff Brom, but is not maybe where we thought it was going to be a couple of years ago? Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, especially given, if not talent 1 through 22, the talent they have got at some specific positions, they should be in a better situation than they are right now.
Hey, Greg Rakestraw with us. I want to wrap this up really quick because we started with high school football. I want to end with high school basketball. Do you think that boys' high school basketball and girls' high school basketball are going to be as successful in navigating COVID as we saw with football? Because I know we're talking about really 2 different things in 2 different times.
Correct. So the answer is no, they won't be. And already that they haven't been in terms of having to move games. But at the same time, basketball has the gift of time. In other words, it has the longest season on the high school sports calendar. The postseason is longer in football, 6 weeks compared to 4. But you've got the gift of time in terms of, hey, listen, could you get a 20-game schedule in over the course of 7 weeks if you had to, and really not overly tax your kids? Absolutely. That translates to playing every Tuesday, every Friday, and every Saturday, and you can get the job done. And at last check, we still have 13 weeks from now left to go until the sectional is scheduled to start. So in one sense, it's going to look worse because you've already have multiple teams having to postpone for a week or 2 or whatever. But again, you have the gift of time in this scenario. So we're going to hear more about lack of fans compared to football, just because of the obvious, outdoor versus indoor. We're going to hear more about the lack of fans because of, frankly, the COVID infection rate is much higher right now than it was in terms of, say, August, September, and early October. But at the same time, it is so much easier to err on the side of caution and say, you know what, let's take a break for a couple of weeks, and we've got time to reschedule all these games or find other opponents to play later in December or January or February. I hate the word optics. The optics here are probably going to look worse than they really are. We've got time and padding here to still enjoy a full high school basketball season.
I would agree with you. I think optics are right up there with narrative. I hate both of them.
For some strange reason, John, I like using the phrase the eyeball test. So
I do too.
Let's establish.
Because everybody uses narrative.
Is okay.
I always think that when people are using narrative, they're trying to sound a lot smarter than they actually are.
Agreed.
And eyeball test, I think, kind of it levels the playing field. It just is understood that you're not that bright when you're saying that, which is why I think I fit so well in saying it.
I got a B+ in honors English at the University of Indianapolis. That should be the last time in my life I use narrative on a regular basis, John, and that was 25 years ago.
Very much agree. Greg Rakestraw, great job this past weekend, and thanks for popping on here. We'll do it again next Tuesday. Thank you.
Anytime, pal. Talk soon.
It's Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What's worse? What's the worst go-to word? Narrative or optics? I do. I use the eyeball test because I'm not trying to fool anybody on my level of smarts real good here. People who use narrative just sound douchey to me. Is that right? I mean, don't you? Anybody else? You guys agree? What do you think? YouTube Live inside the lounge? When you hear somebody say narrative, don't you just think, that person's probably a douche? Narrative optics. Which one's worse? I'm going to put that up there as a Connecticut water question of the day. I'll drop that inside YouTube Live. Optics. Eyeball test is so much better. I think I say storyline instead of narrative. I refuse to use it. It's like I also refuse to, everybody's go-to when they have nothing to talk about and they're just jacking around segment after segment is the Mount Rushmore. I mean, that was the go-to Mike and Mike back in the day. I think they did that every day. The Mount Rushmore of this. I don't use that either. All right, quick one. Sam Monson, top of the hour, Pro Football Focus. He's got the numbers through 12 weeks of the NFL season. Hey, tomorrow afternoon, seriously. Tomorrow afternoon, you're going to have IU playing the loser of Stanford and North Carolina in the Maui Invitational by way of Asheville, North Carolina. And we're going to be watching the Steelers and the Ravens play on a Wednesday. Holy hell. I can't be the only one that thinks that's awesome, though. I know Steeler fans have been out of shape about it, but who cares? Anybody else with me? Is there anything not awesome about a Wednesday afternoon NFL game that really matters? I mean, this is just not yanking it out of the rear end, who gives a crap stuff here. This matters. Quick one, back with you next.
The Fan and Jack Daniels want to make it count on game day and deliver to you the best home game experience with a Jack Daniels prize pack. For a shot at winning, hit up 1075thefan.com. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, is helping new customers celebrate the holiday season with Instant Match. Now sign up today and get your first deposit instantly doubled with up to $500 in free bets when you enter bonus code WFNI100. Then get ready to enjoy your favorite sports like never before with innovative parlay selection features, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, and much more. Now plug into pro and college football action with the same folks that light up Las Vegas with the most popular sportsbooks and casinos on the Strip. Download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and use bonus code WFNI100 to get your first deposit matched with up to $500 in free bets. Happy holidays from BetMGM, where you're always just one click away from your victory dance all year long. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years or older to wager. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. That's 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey, John here. As 2020 comes to an end, no better time than right now to make plans for a financially strong new year. Let's do this. My friends at Forum Credit Union, that's Kevin and the gang, can help you out. Check out their financial tips every month at forumcu.com and on social. Whether you're trying to save for that down payment, maybe buying a new home, looking for just everyday ways to improve your financial situation, Forum Credit Union has resources to make it easy. Make that appointment. Talk to Kevin and the gang about that, or find out more information online. That's forumcu.com today.
One of the great things in life is intimacy. It's a key part of how we express ourselves and share with the person we love. Physical, emotional, and spiritual intimacy. As much as we want to share that intimacy, there are times it just doesn't seem to work out. 40% of the time in men over 40, it just doesn't work. Many couples go months and sometimes years without addressing erectile dysfunction or other sexual issues in what can easily be resolved with just one visit to the Indianapolis Men's Clinic. Our Indiana licensed providers use FDA-approved medications to get intimacy back into your relationship in just one visit. There is no need to wait any longer. We are here for you, both of you. Call 999-9000 to set up a private consultation. 999-9000. The clinic visit, evaluation, and testing of the medication is just $99. IndyMen'sClinic.com for more information. 999-9000.
Hey, John here for FanDuel Sportsbook. It is always more fun, always more entertaining to have a little bit of skin in the game, doesn't it? And FanDuel Sportsbook makes it happen during the football season. I mean, even games that you don't really care about, get a little skin on the line there. It's just a lot more fun. And FanDuel has all these promos. Makes it easy when you win to get your money back. And have you tried out same-game parlays yet? Awesome. Get it all with FanDuel Sportsbook right now. Think about this. You got Steelers and the Ravens coming up tomorrow afternoon. You can think about Roethlisberger touchdown passes. I don't know. Just all these promos you can do. I love it, seriously. I love Wednesday NFL, and you can too. And utilize FanDuel Sportsbook, and it makes it even more fun. But you got to use the promo code JMV, right? So use the promo code JMV. Here's why. FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. So you just place a bet on any game, and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back if you don't win. It's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code JMV. 21 plus and present in Indiana. First online real money wager only. Site credit is not withdrawable and expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH.
Looking for a dependable used work truck? Maybe you're a carpenter, handyman, painter, do plumbing, HVAC. Whatever your trade, you'll find the quality work truck you need at Indy Trucks. They're all fully checked out and come with a 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty. You'll get top dollar for your trade, and Indy Trucks has easy-to-get financing, too. The other guys don't have that. Indy Trucks at 96th and Keystone, or our new location in Edinburgh off I-65, or IndyTrucks.com. Indy Trucks, we'll be looking for you.
Hey, it's JMV, and they're the absolute best. It's Lance and his team at LD Smith Plumbing, your one-stop shop for plumbing needs, from a drippy faucet to a drain to a sewer line replacement. It's who you call at 317-284-9526. Call Lance and his crew at LD Smith Plumbing 24/7, 365 to tackle any issue, big or small, for you. That's online at ldsmithplumbing.com today. LD Smith Plumbing, 317-284-9526.
Bet Rivers Sportsbook is ready to make this football season one to remember. All season long, you can score at Bet Rivers Sportsbook with free bets, odds boosts, and more. With player props, thousands of game lines, and live in-game betting, Bet Rivers Sportsbook delivers a best-in-class sports betting experience and has an experienced customer service team to back it up. Visit Bet Rivers Sportsbook today and bet this football season with a local trusted team that puts you first. Go to BetRivers.com and be a winner. Partner of French Lick Casino Resort. Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448. Playable only in Indiana.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Big Black Friday savings with no credit needed financing options available only at your locally owned and operated Big O Tires.
The Ride with JMV.
Hey, my buddy, Swanson, full steam ahead, over there. I want to go over there. I'll move over, Swanson, I'm driving.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Thank you, Greg Rakestraw, for joining us. Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, top of the hour. Zach Kiefer, The Athletic, and 5. Ryan writes this at JMV 1070 on Twitter. The NFL has gotten hard to watch with all the rule changes, constant penalties, and ever-present replay. Only thing worse is national coverage. Non-stop copycat of style and buzzwords. # narrative. I guess I don't find, to me, it adds, and here's why. Because maybe not all the time, and maybe not all of us all the time, but we certainly are a nation of complainers. Right? About everything. Pissers, moaners. So this kind of plays to the wheelhouse of most right there. You know, those three things you just described, the NFL has consistently really transformed itself into right now. Those things lend to constant pissing and moaning and complaining, which is, again, I think it's in our wheelhouse. Thank you, Ryan. Quick break and we'll come back. Zach Kiefer after 5. Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, is next.
Hellsberg Diamonds presents Our Vows to You. Hellsberg Diamonds takes you, excited yet nervous couple, to be our cherished customers. We promise to give you a wide selection you can truly afford, plus financing options, and we promise to comfort you and answer every question, even the ones you think are really dumb questions. They're not. You may now kiss the radio, if you like. Visit us at Plainfield Commons. Hellsberg Diamonds, a Berkshire Hathaway company.
Hi, Indiana. Everybody knows there are things in life that make total sense, like switching to Geico. They offer 24/7 access to licensed agents and have a 97% customer satisfaction rating.
Other things make no sense, like erasers that don't erase and only smudge. Whoever is making these erasers should call them what they are, smudgers.
However, it makes total sense to bundle your home and car insurance with Geico. You could save a lot, and they can insure your motorcycle, boat, and RV. Geico also has discounts for military and federal employees.
Busy talkers, however, make no sense. If you're so busy, why do you spend so much time telling me about it?
On the other hand, it still makes total sense to switch to Geico. They have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver. They even have local agents you can meet face-to-face.
Conversely, the length of drugstore receipts makes no sense. I came for aspirin and left with roughly 6 feet of paper. Maybe I'll start my novel.
So, Indiana, it makes sense to switch to Geico, online, over the phone, or with your local agent.
Hi, I'm Rick Edelman. Are you changing your investment strategy as a result of the recent elections? Half of those polled before the election said they would. Should you too? Let me give you the answer. Join me for a special election investment strategy webinar on Tuesday, December 8th at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll show you what the election means for your investments and my 3-step investment strategy you need right now. The webinar's free. Just register at rickedelman.com. That's ricedelman.com. At Edelman Financial Engines, we've been helping folks just like you get through every crisis and every election since 1986. And we can help you get through this crisis and this election season, too. You'll be surprised at what I have to tell you in this webinar, so join me December 8th at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern and learn how you need to be handling your investments right now. Register now at rickedelman.com. That's ricedelman.com. Once again, ricedelman.com.
An unprecedented year like 2020 calls for an unprecedented holiday offer from Diamonds Direct. So, for the first time ever during December, we're allowing 4 years zero-interest financing on anything and everything. It's our way of helping you make her holiday one to remember. Just pick any beautiful piece of jewelry, take the price, divide by 48, and that's your payment. A $4,000 pair of diamond stud earrings is just $84 a month. And we have the gifts women love. Rings, earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstones, all new fashion jewelry from top designers. And of course, the largest selection of engagement rings and certified diamonds in the country. After all she's been through in 2020, now's the perfect time to let her know how much you love her. Reward her with a gift that is romantic, timeless, and symbolic. And with 48 months zero-interest financing, you can afford to splurge. Diamonds Direct, helping you make that magical moment this holiday season. Shop online at diamondsdirect.com or in person in our showroom. Diamonds Direct.
Keystone at the Crossing. Do you need furnace or heat pump service? Do you need to find a well-trained dealer like Marshall Mechanical in Franklin? We'll find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC, HD2, W298BB, WIBC, HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Go trackside with Kurt Cabin and Kevin Lee. Tonight at 7 on The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
There's a kid in my class that got a boner at PE in high school. He was wearing sweatpants. It was really embarrassing, so this song goes out to him.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
All right, musically speaking, I may be completely wrong about this, but this may be one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs right here. And I've said this before, I'm embarrassed by it because I call myself a music man, or at least I view myself as a music man, and I've never seen veteran Pearl Jam in my life. You believe that? So terrible. JMV at 1070thefan.com is the email address. Hour 2 is what you're a part of right now. Thank you for joining us. The optics of the narrative would tell me that there's an even worse example of modern speak. The one that really grates on me is, quote, to be perfectly transparent. Why in the hell's name has to be replaced just to be clear? I'm fine with just to be clear. I guess it just doesn't fit the current narrative. Well done, Chris, on that. JMV, have you ever seen a more inept offense No, I haven't. IU hit 11 stinking shots today. They were out-rebounded 48-29 by Texas. That might have been – do some research and see if we can get Rab Johns on here. That was the worst game since – I mean, that was dreadful. 11 made shots. And I think Trace had 6 of the 11 makes. 11 made shots. Out-rebounded 48-29. I mean, you talk about sucking. Get back to that in a second. Kiefer, bottom. Check that. 5 o'clock hour for Zach Kiefer of The Athletic. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline from Pro Football Focus. You got the podcast. He's their lead analyst. It's awesome work that they do at PFF. And Sam Monson joins us. Thanks for joining us, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Well, we're trying to crunch some numbers, and since I don't have the smarts real good at doing that, I'm going to leave that up to you because you're the guy, and you get it done. There's no question about it. Where is right now this Colts offensive line, and how drastically have you seen it fall this year, for example, Sam, compared to what folks were thinking, describing it was going to be?
Yeah, it definitely isn't as good as we thought that it was going to be heading into the season. I think it still is. It still ticks a lot of the boxes that we thought it would in terms of, I think it's still the best offensive line that has been put in front of Phillip Rivers probably for his entire career. In San Diego and then Los Angeles, the Chargers are just completely unable to put an offensive line in front of him for his entire career. I think this Colts unit is the best group that's been in front of them, but it hasn't become this dominant unit that we thought it might. And in particular, I think the run blocking is the area that is most disappointing given what we thought it was going to be heading into the year. I think overall, though, it's definitely a top 10 offensive line in the NFL in 2020. It might even be, a top 6 or 7 offensive line. It's still a pretty good unit. It's just we had such high hopes for it, given the trajectory of guys like Quentin Nelson. And then the other thing is, because Phillip Rivers is who Phillip Rivers is right now, any form of pressure is going to look like a bigger problem than it would against or in front of other quarterbacks. He is of the age now. He's reached that point in his career where he desperately needs, almost perfect pass protection. And the second that isn't there, it becomes immediately obvious. So any problems that the offensive line does have and any pressure that it surrenders is going to be just acutely obvious. And I think that's a big part of their issue.
And Sam, I tell you what, I've talked about this over and over again. When you have Phillip Rivers at quarterback and when he is uncomfortable and when he's out of rhythm, that he's been awful. When he has had the protection and when he is comfortable and when things are offensively rhythmic, he's been really good. But, I mean, there are just – and especially now when you see Costanza go down, that is such a significant problem. And you can tell when LaRaven Clark, the backup, is at left tackle, that he has zero confidence in that protection.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. That's a big blow. That one of the things that is a real problem is anytime they have to go into the bench, it's an immediately different story. But overall, they haven't allowed that much pressure. The Colts have allowed a top 10 level of pressure on Phillip Rivers, but a top 10, they're right there between the New England Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs in terms of percentage of pressure allowed on the quarterback this season from an offensive line group. But obviously Phillip Rivers is not Patrick Mahomes, so those two levels of pressure look completely different depending on whether Phillip Rivers is your quarterback or Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. And that's the problem we're dealing with, is that he needs, virtually perfect pass protection for him to be at the peak of his powers the entire time. And when he doesn't get that, that's when the bad Phillip Rivers starts to show.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, joins us via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What do you make of this defense, which had been number 1? It fell to number 2 after the Packer game. But what do you think about this defense, the way that it looked, especially without DeForest Buckner up front? Is he as vital to any defense in the NFL individually as what we witnessed and what Tennessee did offensively against the Colts Sunday?
you could definitely come to that conclusion coming out of that game. DeForest Buckner has been, I think, better than advertised this season. He's been playing at an all-pro kind of level. He's been as good as anybody in the NFL outside of Aaron Donald at that position. And it was a huge boost for the Colts to bring him over, and he's been a huge addition to that defense. Everything has been playing well around him while he's been there. Then you take him out of the lineup, and you run up against a team like Tennessee, who have a Derrick Henry, obviously just a unique weapon in the backfield in terms of a 250-pound load that can just run over pretty much anybody you have to deploy on defense. And they just got blown off the ball. Everywhere up front was a nightmare, and nobody can handle the Titans' rushing attack. And then Derrick Henry, once he got ahead of steam going. So, I think there were so many bad performances in the front seven that it's tough to say it's all DeForest Buckner, but it's hard to imagine that it wouldn't have been a lot better if he'd been there instead of some of the players that were taking a lot of snaps because he wasn't.
Yeah, not that it matters, and I'm curious. Where would you factor in DeForest Buckner at any NFL Defensive Player of the Year type of honor? Would he at least be in somebody's conversation?
I don't know if he's in a Defensive Player of the Year conversation, but I think he's definitely in an All-Pro conversation.
Sure.
One of those spots is almost certainly going to get taken up by Aaron Donald. And then every year, the competition to be the second interior guy next to Aaron Donald, I think is a really fierce one. There's a lot of guys that sort of rotate year in, year out. And I think this year, DeForest Buckner has, the inside track to be that second guy.
So Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. He's the podcast co-host. He's the lead analyst. He joins us every Tuesday at 4. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So given what we saw on Sunday, it's interesting how, you go from feeling really good about the Colts in the postseason to having a very uneasy feeling moving forward and getting Houston coming up on Sunday. What are your thoughts? Are they still, in your opinion, going to be a playoff AFC worthy team, given the dynamics of those around them within this conference that presently either own a better record or the tiebreak against them?
Yeah, this was a big loss for them in terms of setting them back in playoff, in the standing, in the picture generally. It was a huge game in terms of leverage within that division, not just for the team that was going to take the division, but because of where it left the loser. I still think, they have a decent shot of snatching that one of those wild card spots, even with the tiebreakers, because there's 7 playoff teams in each conference this year. That extra wild card spot they have to fight off. The Baltimore Ravens, I think, are probably their stiffest competition, but Baltimore is probably going to go with another loss as soon as they get that Steelers game out of the way, assuming that ever happens. And the Colts, they are in a tough spot. The real issue they have is if they can't manage to find a way to beat Houston. And, Houston are not a good team, but they have a quarterback right now playing as well as basically any quarterback in the NFL. Really, the only quarterback I think right now that's playing better than Deshaun Watson is Patrick Mahomes. And that alone is enough to make you dangerous and make you in or put you in any single game, particularly a division game. So that's a real danger matchup for this Indianapolis team. They're definitely the better team, and they should win that game, but that's a really dangerous matchup to be rolling into and knowing that you can come away with it.
It's Sam Monson with us, too, and the circumstances that they're dealing with in Houston offensively now. They lose Will Fuller for 6 games for a PED violation. I think Bradley Roby defensively is also going to be missing some games, and this is a team that can't afford talent to be missing. How big of a deal is Will Fuller being out and the effect that it's going to have on this Colts game on Sunday, in your opinion?
Fuller makes a big difference to that team. It's also bad timing because, they just released Kenny Stills, who wasn't really fitting in that system, didn't really have a role with all the speedsters that they have. They could kind of do them back given that Will Fuller is now going to be on the shelf. But the good thing for them is that they're not this one receiver team the way they have been in previous seasons with DeAndre Hopkins. Even when it was that kind of dynamic, Will Fuller made a difference to the offense, but this is a group now with a ton of speed. Whether it's Brandon Cooks, they have a lot of speed outside of Will Fuller in this offense as well, in a way that might be able to withstand that kind of loss better than it did in the past. The other thing is that because they've moved beyond this one receiver offense, I think Deshaun Watson is playing better football, and he's better able to deal without his number one receiver being on the field and already being used to spreading the ball around and just targeting the right guy, not necessarily the guy with the biggest name or the biggest amount of talent. So, yeah, it's definitely a big blow, and he's by far their best receiver. But I think they might be better equipped to live with the loss than they have been in previous seasons.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, every Tuesday in the 4 o'clock hour here on 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan. Carson Wentz, what has happened, hence what will take place in the future? Are we just watching him crumble and finding his way here in the not-so-distant future out of the NFL? Is that where we are with this game right now, quarterback?
I mean, there's a lot of things wrong. Obviously, Carson Wentz is probably the biggest thing wrong with the Eagles' offense at the moment, and the most obvious given he's the quarterback and the big-money guy. But he's not alone. The offensive line has fallen to pieces given where they thought they would be preseason, before the season. The receivers have all been injured. They're getting healthier now, but they just haven't had a chance to sort of figure out the roles that each one of those guys should have because they've had to been chopping and changing so much. And the scheme generally, I don't think, is in a good place. And I don't mean just in Philadelphia. I mean, that system outside of Andy Reid in Kansas City is not in a good place, whether it's Doug Peterson in Philadelphia or Matt Nagy in Chicago. The entire system feels like it's kind of lost its way and gotten stuck in the tall grass a little bit. And all of those things together just mean that Carson Wentz is in a funk, and he's playing, extremely badly right now. But it isn't just him. The entire offense is in a really bad place, and I'm not sure there's an easy answer. I know a lot of people are looking for them to start Jalen Hurts and make a change that way. I don't see that being the silver bullet that suddenly transforms all of these problems into the right situation.
Hey, Sam, too, I mentioned this regarding Colts cornerback Rock Ya-Sin. He's panicking. He looks panicky. He reaches out and he grabs, and hence he looks like he deserves a benching right now because on Sunday, he was a real game wrecker, unfortunately, for the Colts. And when I apply that logic to Carson Wentz, not so much panicking, but he looks hesitant to make throws. Like he's a click or two off on passes or routes that are open. And it's almost like you can translate that to somebody in baseball like Chuck Knobloch having the yips. He looks like he has the yips when he's throwing the football nearly every time.
Yeah, and, we talked before about how Phillip Rivers needs a comfort level in the pocket, and when he doesn't have it, it's immediately obvious in how he plays. I think Wentz has got the same thing, except it's not the comfort level in the pocket. It's the comfort level with what he's seeing, downfield. It's reading coverages. It's trusting that your receiver is going to be in the right place at the right time and that you're on the same page as they are. I just don't think he has confidence in anything that's going on with that offense right now, and consequently, he's basically turned into a player that waits to see it. He's not throwing with anticipation. He's not throwing into a window that he knows is about to open up. He's holding onto the ball until he sees a guy wide open, and in doing so, often ignores guys that are wide open because he's still stuck on a read earlier in his progression, and it's just it's not a good looking situation for him right now.
So, Sam Monson with us, and I mentioned Rock Ya-Sin here, who's the second-year cornerback for the Colts that's having really a struggle big time right now. And people are asking me or debating, where's Rock compared to other cornerbacks in the NFL? Where do you have him ranked presently?
Not well coming out of that game. That was a really ugly performance, an absolute nightmare against A.J. Brown in particular, but it was by far the worst game of his season. He hasn't had a good year, though. He's graded in the 30s, the 40s, I think, for us is, giving up a passer rating of 105 when he's targeted, a completion rate of 70%. And it's not just the system. That system does allow some catches because of what they do schematically, but you just compare that to what's happening with Xavier Rhodes on the other side, and his numbers are night and day different. It's not the same kind of thing. The only thing that's sort of in his defense is generally defenses are just getting lit on fire this season by everybody. The offense has exploded like never before in today's NFL. And it's almost everybody is struggling in terms of, unless you were a superstar to begin with, and even then your numbers have taken a hit, you're going to have a bad season this year. This is not necessarily indicative, I think, of what Rocky Sin can do going forward, but it is definitely a step backwards from where he was last season, and he's not moving in the right direction, put it that way.
All right, Sam, I mean, you kind of look at where things are right now in Cleveland, and I know this has been brought up, and this is a staple for the morning scream at one another debate shows around the nation, but it does appear, if certainly under good weather conditions, that it has benefited Jarvis Landry that Odell Beckham Jr. is not there. Can we equate his game, his play recently, to that? And is this Browns offense, does it look better without him?
It certainly seems to. There was this debate at the time when Odell Beckham Jr. went down, and a lot of people were making that case that, look, this is a better team without Odell Beckham in the lineup. And it certainly does seem to be true. The numbers do bear that out, that when he's not there, they are more efficient, they're more productive. I think we need to be careful about what conclusion we draw from that. I think a lot of people are blaming Odell Beckham for that. I think that's the wrong conclusion to draw. Clearly, he is a supremely talented wide receiver. And if the offense is better when he's not out there, it's because you're not treating him in the right way. It's because you're allowing yourself to not take advantage of his skill set best, whether it's force feeding him the football, whether it's, just trying to get him the ball in situations that you shouldn't necessarily be. You're not maximizing the return you should be getting for the talent that you have on the roster. But yeah, when Odell Beckham isn't there, Jarvis Landry is clearly the number one receiver in that room and the guy that Baker Mayfield wants to go to with the football. I think Rashad Higgins also sees a big bump when Odell Beckham isn't there, and Higgins obviously should have had a touchdown this weekend as well, but Baker Mayfield missed him and wide open shot in the end zone. But yeah, Jarvis Landry, I think, kind of reminds people every now and again that he is a really talented receiver if you give him a full role. If you don't just limit him to an underneath slot possession guy, he can be a dangerous all-around weapon.
Is Kyler Murray hitting the skids a little bit right now?
I think he hasn't taken the step forward as a passer that people expected him to this season, but I don't think that's necessarily something that's just happening recently. I think that's been the story all the way through the season, but his floor is so high because of what he can do running the football that it's not always obvious. But when you face a team like New England that are going to have a game plan to stop what you do best and essentially, force you to lean into the area that you're struggling in, it becomes a little bit more obvious. And I think that's kind of what we saw this week, that the Patriots just had a good game plan against Kyler Murray and forced him into the area that he struggles in the most, and he wasn't able to answer that bell.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. He is a co-host of their podcast and their lead analyst, and he joins us every Tuesday here on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Before I let you go, give us the most interesting / outrageous number that you have come across through 12 weeks of this, almost, 12 weeks of this NFL season. Come tomorrow after the Steelers-Ravens game is finally, we hope, played.
Well, Derrick Henry obviously went off in a big way against Indianapolis this week. Derrick Henry is closing in on having 1,000 rushing yards after contact this season. Only Dalvin Cook has more total rushing yards than Derrick Henry has yards after contact this year.
Wow. I'm telling you what, he didn't get contact until 5 yards deep against the Colts on Sunday. That was the biggest part of the issue there.
Yeah, that'll always help you rack up some yards.
No doubt about that. Sam, it's always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. Thank you.
Anytime. Take it easy.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Under 11 to go in the second half from Purdue. 70-40 Boilermakers over Oakland right now. So a 30-point advantage. over Oakland for the Boilermakers. Earlier today, IU makes 11 shots. How many three-pointers did they attempt? Do I even want to know?
I think it was 17.
Did they? 10.
10, yeah.
They attempted 10 three-pointers. What was this, 1950? 10 three-pointers. Got out-rebounded 48-29. And they lose in their Maui Invitational in Asheville, North Carolina, to the 17th-ranked Texas Longhorns, 66-44. And maybe one of the ugliest games you have ever watched.
Fewest points scored since December 22nd of 2008 when Tom Crean's first season with the depleted roster.
Oh, man. Anybody jumping on pigs right now? And what are they saying? I bet they're having fun with Archie on pigs right now. They still do the message boards on pigs and stuff? Are message boards still a thing? I mean, why do you even need them anymore? You can just do it on Twitter or other social gathering spots. 66-44. It was, you know what, it's funny. It was even worse than the final score would indicate. You know when they always say, well, you know what, it was worse than the final score indicated, you know, on one side or the other, or, you know, it was better than. This was even, IU was worse than the final score would indicate. Now, normally when that's said, you get a 15-point game that, because of some made shots at the end, turns out to be, you know, a 7 or 6-point win. But IU taking a beating like that was worse. Like, they played worse than the final score would indicate. It's brutal. Really was. They're going to get the loser of Carolina and Stanford, and as it goes right now in this semifinal, the Tar Heels a 12-8 advantage over the Stanford Cardinal. All right, quick break, and we'll come back. I got time for you if you guys want to work it in at 239-1070. More power to you. If you want to jump in on YouTube Live, you can certainly do that. The Ride with JMV YouTube Live. It's called The Lounge. Thank you very much. Colts-Houston conversation, we can do it. In fact, the news broke yesterday regarding Will Fuller and his PED suspension right when I was talking to Xavier Rhodes, which made it kind of interesting. Get to that. Get to the meeting with the media. It's media day for the Pacers. And again, a shout-out to the Pacers for the jerseys. That's awesome. I love the new city jerseys. Thank you, Pacers, for that. Rick and the gang down there know that I love them. Appreciate them very much. That's awesome. I love the new cities. And I don't think they have a gold. They need a reversal here. They need a gold and a blue. I love these. They're an awesome look. It's a job well done right there. Victor Oladipo, Zoom with the media. And we'll see where this thing goes. I mean, the one thing that they do have going for them, or if you're pro Oladipo and want him to stay, the one thing that you got going for you is a new coach. I mean, that's one thing. He's not going to outwardly tell you that. I mean, he's happy with the new coach. He's not going to, but he is a lot more happy with that than he would have been with another year of McMillan. But if it's going to work longer term, I mean, and a lot of people suggest that it's not going to right now. And granted, I sit here right now and I'll be surprised if it would. But if it does, if it has any chance, it's going to be him raising his game and then some patchwork done to his relationship with the front office or his feeling about the front office. I'm not suggesting it's going to happen. But when people ask, no, that's basically the angle and or opinion that I give. Oh, I'm sorry. They attempted 10 threes in the second half. How many overall in the game? That's what Alan Stanley's telling me that right now. They had 11 shots in the second half. That's a good Lord Almighty. It was, seriously, it was ugly. All right, quick one. We'll come back. I want to work in some calls, get to some comments via Twitter and YouTube Live with Zach Kiefer coming up at the top of the hour. Just how feasible is it that you go Braden Smith right tackle to left tackle? At all? I'd have to think it's probably better than what you got right now with Larry Clark being the guy left tackle. I mean, let's just face it. Without Costanzo, this is an issue. We'll talk to Zach about that and a lot more. I know he met and others with the media, with the coordinators earlier today. We'll talk about that coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. 93.5, 107.5, and 10.7 The Fan.
Names aren't given, they're earned. 86 years ago, William Hill earned his by betting on himself. Today, William Hill has the most sports books in America. And now, they're here in Indiana. Sign up for the William Hill mobile app and get up to a $500 free bet on deposit. Use promo code RADIO500. Indiana only. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Let's make it interesting with William Hill Sportsbook.
Another reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is a cash-out refinance? It's doing a cannonball from your porch.
Watch out!
That new car smell. A new college graduate in the family.
With a BA in business and a minor in medieval Renaissance poetry.
Reading the words, paid in full.
Woohoo! Did it!
At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it for our customers. Right now, rates are at a low 2.5%. Call 317-706-GOLD or visit us online at goldenoaklending.com and talk with an experienced local loan officer who will guide you every step of the way. NMLS 114937, 2.5% fixed, 2.655% APR on a conventional 15-year mortgage with 30% equity and approved credit.
Looking for a dependable used work truck? Maybe you're a carpenter, handyman, painter, do plumbing, HVAC. Whatever your trade, you'll find the quality work truck you need at Indy Trucks. They're all fully checked out and come with a 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty. You'll get top dollar for your trade, and Indy Trucks has easy-to-get financing, too. The other guys don't have that. Indy Trucks at 96th and Keystone, or our new location in Edinburgh off I-65, or IndyTrucks.com. Indy Trucks, we'll be looking for you.
Hey, John here for Andy Moore Buick GMC. That's 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers. And a quick shout to my guy Eric Wilson and the gang up at the best there, right? Huge is the selection of Buicks and GMCs. Awesome are the deals and the prices that you're going to get. I'll give you a great example of it right now. So I'm driving around the 2020 GMC Acadia. Love it. Like, it tells me all the things that I don't know. There are some things it tells me I still don't know, but I love it nonetheless. $5,500 in GMC consumer cash right now for you. And in all, Andy Moore discounts up to $10,000 off of MSRP. In fact, you can lease a 2020 GMC Acadia for $289 per month with zero down payment right now. Let Eric Wilson go to work for you. Guy listens to the show, listens to the JMV takeover down the hall, and he's ready to deal with you. He and the staff at the best. It's Andy Moore Buick GMC. Just tell him I sent you. That's 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers.
This is Jerome Bettis, and I want to introduce you to my friends at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Bet Rivers is the #1 sportsbook across the way in Illinois and the trusted partner of French Lick Casino here in Indiana. Bet Rivers truly cares about your satisfaction and works hard to deliver a sports betting experience second to none. Make your next bet with the trusted team at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Go to betrivers.com and bet with the winner.
Must be 21 or over to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448. Playable only in Indiana.
To help stay within your budget, Pierce Family Jewelers in Carmel has a wide array of prices and a great selection of traditional mined diamond jewelry. Or let them show you how to save 20 to 50% on their new pure grown lab diamonds. Either way, it's your choice and a lot more money stays in your pocket. So if you're looking for that heart-stopping response from her, then nothing says I love you more than a blue box under the tree from Pierce Jewelers. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers. 114 East Carmel Drive.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Big Black Friday savings with no credit needed financing options available only at your locally owned and operated Big O Tires.
Sports with Dan Dockich.
Sean Salisbury, Colts fans are saying the team didn't show up yesterday. It's a little deeper than that, isn't it?
Yeah, it better be. The Colts are better than that. But if they didn't show up just because they weren't feeling it, then I got a real issue with that, if that's really the case. And I don't think it is. I think they got beat by a team that outplayed them and was much more physical at the point of attack. And sometimes it is that simple.
Dan Dakich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
I want savages on the field. I want to lead the league in broken ribs. I want to put people in the hospital legally, no hitting in the head. I want them to cry and be scared to play us.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
We have not heard from Brent in a long time. I don't know if that's good or bad. Hey, quick shout out to Dr. Mass down in Bloomington. I was down there this morning. I had to take my mom to an appointment. And it's amazing. She's 75, broke her ankle back on the 12th of August, 3 different places. And I've been driving back and forth at the very least every other day. I've gone from daily to every other day. But she's been clear. We saw Dr. Mass today. Shout out to him. And my man John Surdam and the gang down in Bloomington, they were awesome. Absolutely awesome. So job well done. I'm telling you what, 3 different places, dislocation. I mean, this is straight out of the NFL player injury handbook right there. And then, December 1, everything is clear. So that's the job well done. Dr. Mass, thank you very much. Dr. Surdam down there, if you guys know either, next time you see them, tell them thank you. It was awesome. Really was. So that's what I was doing a little bit earlier today. But fantastic treatment, to say the least. I think I've been on Aurora Road down there. Where is that? Jackson Creek Middle School? That's where that is down in Bloomington. I've been on Aurora Road so much I can drive around with ease. Nate Thomas checks in with this. Hey, JMV, without Costanzo, this team is 7-9 at best. I would agree with this. The difference between the 2 players, probably the largest that you're going to see on any position on the team, which, again, Nate, stands the reason why in the offseason we were wondering as to why they did not attempt to upgrade. And as I got into it, kind of not an argument. I'm not going to get into arguments, but got into a debate with a guy named Josh on Sunday about addressing that clear need at backup on the offensive line and not doing it. And the counter argument was, well, you're not going to find these guys growing on trees. And I understand you're not going to find greatness at left tackle growing on trees. You can logically find one better than LaRaven Clark. And why they didn't feel the need to do that or address that in the offseason is really beyond belief. I mean, beyond belief. I mean, you knew what you had. It was a healthy scratch most of the time a year ago. And then you still dive into this year. What, do you cross your fingers and hope that these guys are all going to remain healthy as they did a year ago? But you talk about being hosed right now, left tackle. We'll talk about that with Zach Kiefer at the top of the hour. So what ultimately can happen here? I mean, how are you going to cobble something together? Problematic, to say the least. Hey, JMV, the Niners beat the Rams with 13 players on IR, yet the excuses come for the Colts. Somebody's going to have to help me out here. Who's lobbing the excuses here? Where were the excuses? Have you heard one excuse? There's been 0 excuses. Somebody's going to have to help me out. Are you hearing something someplace else? You tagging that to me? Where have the excuses been? I haven't heard the excuses here. Now help me out on it. I mean, maybe you heard something from me that you translate into being an excuse, but I don't know what that would be. I mean, adjectives such as, stink, suck, a terrible, horrible, embarrassing. Doesn't sound like a number of excuses there. I don't know where that would be. I don't know. I don't listen to anybody else but me, so I don't know who else is lobbing excuses out there, but it sure as hell hadn't been here. I mean, in fact, you can look at the team you were playing if you were the Colts. They had a third-string left tackle. They haven't had a left tackle and right tackle together. They've had injuries across the board. They had to deal with COVID earlier this year, and they went in and they pounded the Colts, and as I mentioned, in embarrassing fashion. So I can't answer why until you tell me where you heard it. Joe's up next at 239-1070. Hello, Joe.
Hey, JMV, how are you?
Joe, I couldn't be better. Thank you for asking. What's up?
Good. Hey, I wanted to talk about the Pacers. I was real interested in this recent trade deal, with Gordon Hayward. And I would have traded Miles, and I might have thrown in Aaron Holiday. But is it just that the Pacers can't do a $30 million player?
Well, Danny Ainge wanted to snake him. I mean, they were willing. Miles was there. They were willing to do that with Miles and McDermott, but Danny Ainge wanted to snake him. They weren't willing to trade Miles and T.J. Warren or whomever else that Danny Ainge wanted.
I wouldn't trade Warren for sure.
I wouldn't trade with Danny Ainge. He's a snake, and he's been successful in being a snake, but he's a snake. I wouldn't be trading with his ass for nothing. Because he wants to screw you.
Do you think we can ever get a $30 million player? In other words, is there somebody out there?
Joe, I'll be honest with you. As much as I like Gordon Hayward, I'm glad that I don't see the Pacers paying him $30 million until he's 35. Because I don't know about anybody else. Is he going to stay healthy? I mean, can you count on him game after game any longer? Is his game, is it going – and we talk about this with Oladipo. I mean, can he raise his game or has it plateaued? You can say the same thing about Gordon Hayward.
Okay, but you said one good thing,
Only one? Come on, man.
Well, no. I'm just talking about in the last five minutes. I was listening. You said that, they've got the new coach for Victor. And one thing that's really true is we've never seen these five players play for more than a couple of weeks together. Seeing them for 3 or 4 months would be it'd be great to see that team with the new coach and see what they might be able to do,
Well, and I think that's why people are asking me this, Joe, about, all right, so give us a scenario where Oladipo would stay. And, I mean, there's two sides to this. But he does, I mean, the fact that they got rid of one Nate and brought in another, I mean, that's a positive for that.
Yeah.
Is it likely to occur? No, but that's a positive because he and then others on that team, they were at the end with Nate McMillan.
Yeah. See, I'm almost ready to trade Victor because if he's going to ask for a max deal, there's no way the Pacers will ever give him that. The Pacers might be willing to give him a few more dollars than another team, but it all depends on what he can do in the next couple of months, really.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, thank you for the call. And that's absolutely right. I mean, you see if he can build some worth or if some fences can be mended, if some excitement can be created with a new coach, and then see what happens. And Danny Ainge wants to snake you. I'm not dealing with that dude. I swear to you, somebody had to look this up. I swear. Through his minions in the East Coast NBA media, Kemba Walker was mentioned as being available a couple of weeks ago, and that dude's not going to play until January. And clearly that's something that other teams would find out, but man, that guy's a snake. There's no way in this world. And believe me, Kevin Pritchard even mentioned it last week. I mean, he mentioned the interest they had in Gordon Hayward. And it's going to be interesting to see, Miles and his reaction after knowing now that he was a part of that. But Miles and T.J. Warren, I mean, no. I mean, I like Gordon, but not that much. And then he goes to a logical place where, you'll have some games here or there, but you'll never win, but you'll get paid, and that'll be great. Charlotte's perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I know it may bum some of you out that they didn't do anything, that they didn't try to go out after watching them lose 4 consecutive in the bubble postseason to Miami. But the last thing you want to get is snaked by Danny Ainge. And he was out to snake him. You don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want movement for the sake of movement. And believe me, if you're Kevin Pritchard, I mean, this is a guy that in the past has been used to, coming up with deals and doing things. I mean, hell, that's what he was known for in Portland. So it probably did pain him to sit back and not do anything with this team. I mean, clearly he tried. But that sure as hell wasn't it. I mean, it looks like they were willing to do something with Miles and McDermott, but when the snake wanted to try to snake you with T.J. Warren and add all these other names, you go, what? Kidding me? And then just the $30 million until you're 35, I'm all right. I'm still trying to find out who's anybody here hear any excuses? Because I'm Hotep is suggesting that there are excuses. I'm kind of wondering where that is. It's been like a rip job. Yeah, Jay Ryan, you're right. He's a snake. All those East Coast guys, man. They sniff at the boot, get that information, put it out there. The same crap. He tried to do the same stuff with Paul George, if you remember. Snake. Hey, quick one, we'll come back. Zach Kiefer, top of the hour. You guys good to go inside the lounge? Hello? That's YouTube Live or at 239-1070. There are various ways you can reach this show, social media-wise as well. I got your New Year's Eve planned and why it could really get good for you. I'll get that information because, frankly, I just got that information today myself. We'll tell you about that and more before the end of the show on 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Kids, tell your parents about Form's Sprout of the Month contest where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, is helping new customers celebrate the holiday season with Instant Match. Now sign up today and get your first deposit instantly doubled with up to $500 in free bets when you enter bonus code WFNI100. Then get ready to enjoy your favorite sports like never before with innovative parlay selection features, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, and much more. Now plug into pro and college football action with the same folks that light up Las Vegas with the most popular sportsbooks and casinos on the Strip. Download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and use bonus code WFNI100 to get your first deposit matched with up to $500 in free bets. Happy holidays from BetMGM, where you're always just one click away from your victory dance all year long. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years or older to wager. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. That's 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey, fellas, this year made us all want to stay in bed. Seriously, I was like sleeping 12 hours a day initially during this pandemic back in March. So why not dream a little dream with the one that you love? So follow me here, fellas. Kickstart some romance this Christmas with the new Midnight Fantasy Pajamas from our friends at Pajamagram. That's America's PJ experts for nearly 20 years. Seductive with a hint of lace, silky and smooth to the touch, Midnight Fantasy Pajamas are a dream come true for her and you. She'll love it. I promise you that, too. So warm her up and treat her the ultimate fantasy with Midnight Fantasy Pajamas from Pajamagram. Check them out, pajamagram.com today, just in time for the holiday season, too. And right now you can order, and they're going to give you a great deal. Free gift packaging for you. So get to Midnight Fantasy Pajamas at pajamagram.com. And don't forget about that free gift packaging today. That's pajamagram.com. Fast, easy, and delivery by Christmas is guaranteed. Tell them JMV sent you.
For 101 years, Windsor Jewelry's been doing business downtown, and my buddy Greg Byers is the owner, and he specializes in unique jewelry. But, Greg, what are some of the other things that are hot right now?
Women are stacking bracelets, layering necklaces. Women never have enough earrings. For the guys, we have watches, we have accessories like money clips, very wearable jewelry items.
And don't forget, if it snows 3 inches on Christmas Day, all your purchases from now until December 18th are free. Stop by Windsor Jewelry downtown at 16 North Meridian Street or go to windsorjewelry.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly. Have you locked in on your refinance yet? What are you waiting for? Mortgage rates are still in the twos, but you need to get locked in now. You could be saving hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month. And how nice would it be to pay off all the credit cards and have cash in the bank? Get pre-approved for whatever lies ahead with a simple refinance. Apply online today with our 5-minute loan approval, only available at thehomeloanexpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Hey, Heaven Hill Distillery. It's Brent Holverson, Randy Strand. That's our Larceny Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. That's coming up on Thursday. Once again, we're back in Fairland, Indiana. The Indiana Grand, that's on Thursday. Week 13 of our Larceny Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. And you know what? If we're lucky, Week 12 may be over by the time Week 13 rolls around come Thursday. Our Larceny Bourbon Locks, our Luna Azul Tequila Shots with Brent Holverson, Indiana Grand. That is coming up on Thursday with 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Was still wiggling on the plate, and I swear it looked up.
When you don't need to hear about Jason from Accounting's
The
dinner,
little black curly hair on the edge of the plate.
Google Lencore Sound.
Okay, love you.
Love you too, Pudge Muffin.
When your personal calls need to stay personal,
After you finish that spreadsheet, I need these reports filed. Pudge Muffin.
Google Lencore Sound. When silence becomes a distraction, Google Lencore Sound.
At Unibet Sportsbook, we know that within every bettor, there's a bet so genius, no other person on this planet could have thought of it. It's called a parlay, a custom-made bet that says, today, my confidence level is on the money. Sign up today and get $30 free to use on your first parlay and enjoy daily parlay boosts at Unibet Sportsbook. Download the app or visit in.unibet.com. Unibet Sportsbook, crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in Indiana. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
The Hoosiers head to Madison to face the Wisconsin Badgers. Saturday at 2:30 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Well, you're going to have to say that. You're going to have to speak up because I can't hear you.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Eddie's here. I'm John. Thank you for joining us. The Ville guy chimes in. JMV, I felt like you were trying to seduce me during the Pajamagram ad. Well done. I was looking at you guys. I was looking right down the barrel of YouTube Live as I was selling that baby. Very seductive read right there. That might have been my best seductive read of all time right there. Seductive with a hint of lace, silky and smooth to the touch. Midnight fantasy pajamas are a dream come true for her and you. Hey, tell me you don't want a piece of that now. Come on now. Seriously. The true story about that is 2020's made us all want to stay in bed. And I told you this going back to March, mid-March when things shut down and it wasn't jack squat to do. I was like sleeping 12 hours a day. I'm taking a handful of sleep aids, like they're a candy, like I'm Beavis and Butthead. You know, I'm just throwing that stuff down, sleeping like 12 hours a day. So, yeah, that is true. If you guys need any more information on Pajamagram to make her happy this Christmas, I'm your go-to guy right here. You just let me know, and I'm all about it. I'm right here for you, per always. Hey, JMV, I'm absolutely an old dude, but when the Colts lost to the Jags in week number 1, this old man thought, crap, this may bite him in the ass before we're done here. As they say, it's not my first rodeo. That's no doubt. Jim McCann in Southern California. It's true. I mean, it is so true. And it's silly. As silly as it sounds, me saying, hey, it's must win, and then everybody giggles and laughs and thinks it's funny. I mean, you're going to look back at that as a big damn deal right now. One win. And believe me, Jacksonville's just as bad as the Jets. One win. And that be it. You tell me. College basketball earlier today, if you were watching that IU game, you probably had to hide your eyes a little bit because offensively it was awful. Board-wise, they got beat on the glass 48-29 by number 17 Texas, and 66-44 was the final, and that score does not indicate just how awful IU was. Looks like no Al Durham coming up tomorrow. He's got a sprained ankle. It was terrible. Meantime, Purdue rolled Oakland 93-50. What was that spread? 20? 21? Feeling good about that. But IU was brutal. Absolutely brutal. JMV, you just sold me with that pajamagram. That's what I'm all about here. Sometimes I got to transform. Sometimes I got to transform into this very Billy D. Williams of me right there, right? Remember when Billy D. Williams was like the lover dude? Those Colt 45 commercials back then. Billy D. was the lover dude. Eddie Murphy tried to be the lover dude, and it really kind of hosed his career. Remember that? And then the boomerang thing was great, but it was like he was trying to be Billy D. Williams and the lover guy when everybody just wanted to laugh. Leading man guy. But nah, that's what I'm all about here. Sometimes I got to transform a little bit, and that's what we were trying to do with that. Zach Keefe for top of the hour. Is indeed some offensive line movement. Is it feasible here? Interchangeable parts from right tackle to left tackle. Quentin Nelson's name has been brought up, but clearly the Colts need to do something because the 38-year-old quarterback is not down with having his blind side protected by LaRaven Clark. You can see that. And just how bad that game was on Sunday. Zach Keefe, the Athletic, set to join us next.
And Indiana is going to come away with their 5th win of the season.
Indiana hits the road to Wisconsin for another huge matchup.
And what a catch is made on the near sideline.
Your 10th-ranked Hoosiers take on the Badgers Saturday.
Into the end zone, touchdown Indiana.
Our coverage starts at 2:30.
Pops through, easy touchdown run for Stevie Scott.
Kickoff with Don Fisher at 3:30.
For Indiana comes up with a great sack.
Your home for Indiana University football. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Listen closely. A gentle Gulf breeze floats through the air. Emerald green waters gently lap the shoreline. Palm trees sway gently to and fro. The sun lightly warms your shoulders as you inhale. You sink into the sand. You soak up every drop of sun. You breathe it all in, breathe it all out. Salt, sun, sand. Let your senses come alive in St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, where miles of white sand beaches and world-class sunsets meet al fresco dining and an unparalleled art scene, where all things vibrant and vivid come together. Beautiful beachfront properties await in St. Pete, Clearwater. Book fully refundable exclusive offers of up to 55% off with no risk on your next escape at embraceyoursenses.com.
Hey, Johnny, Farm Credit Union 2020 is finally coming to an end here. There's no better time to make plans for a financially sturdy new year. And my friends at Farm Credit Union, that's Kevin and the gang, can help you do just that. So check out their financial tips every month at forumcu.com. Resources and tips that you'll find via forumcu.com and on their socials. Whether you're trying to save for a down payment or a new home or just trying to improve your everyday financial situation. Man, it all makes sense, and you get the utmost help from Kevin and my friends at Forum Credit Union. All the resources to make it easy for you. Make an appointment to speak with a financial rep today, and for more info, log on. That's forumcu.com.
Hellsberg Diamonds presents our vows to you. We, Hellsberg Diamonds, take you, guy driving in car, to be our beloved customer. We promise to guide you to the right engagement ring, be it natural or lab-grown or moissanite. Whether you're knowledgeable or still wondering, what is moissanite? To give you the best quality at the lowest price, as long as you shall be shopping for an engagement ring. Visit us at Plainfield Commons. Hellsberg Diamonds, a Berkshire Hathaway company.
Hey, JMV, the holidays are just around the corner here, right? So if you're thinking about getting you and your family the special gift, how about the gift of great water with Joe, John, and Dennis, my friends from Connecticut, for a limited time. Here it is. Take $1,200 off the purchase of a Premier Series water softener and a K5 drinking water station. Once again, $1,200 off the purchase of a Premier Series water softener and a K5 drinking water station. That is awesome. Connecticut for the details online. ConnecticutIndy.com today.
Black Horse Carriers, now the 13th largest dedicated fleet provider in the U.S., is having a hiring drive throughout November and December for their Plainfield and Lebanon, Indiana locations. They are looking for drivers that are driven, dependable, dedicated, with at least 18 months experience. Black Horse has Class A CDL local dedicated openings in Plainfield, Indiana, with a weekly average of $1,400 per week and top earners making $1,600 plus per week. Plainfield is also offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus if the application is received by 12/15/2020. They also have local home daily Monday through Friday openings in Lebanon, Indiana, offering $1,200 per week. These Lebanon, Indiana positions are no-touch freight. Black Horse offers full benefits including health, dental, vision, 401k with company match, paid life insurance, and more. During these unprecedented times, their drivers are proud to be essential workers. Please call 317-432-3559. That's 317-432-3559 or visit blackhorsecarriers.com. The $5,000 sign-on bonus is only applicable for Plainfield. Equal opportunity employer. Drug testing is a condition of employment.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust, like Family Heating and Air Conditioning? We'll find that American Standard dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Bet on the game while you watch it. Live streaming of matches with loads of in-game betting options. Download BetRivers Sportsbook or go to BetRivers.com today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
The Colts are in Houston to take on the Texans. Coverage Sunday morning at 10 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
The sportos and motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm thinking,
Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday. Indiana Grand, Larceny Locks, Lynn O'Zool Tequila Shots coming up on Thursday. Me, Brent Halverson, in your Week 13 picks, provided Week 12 ends tomorrow afternoon with the Steelers and the Ravens from Pittsburgh. Did you see that? I'm not going to give him credit because he didn't give Kevin Bowen credit, but what's his nuts from ESPN mentioned yesterday that NBC wanted to go early because they had the lighting of the Christmas tree in NYC programming, that they didn't want to upstage for that. At least that's what I read. I love it, though. I just don't know. So is anybody out there getting screwed by either Channel 13 or DirecTV? Does that take into effect tomorrow? I can't tell because there's so many. We can't even enjoy the games anymore television-wise because there's a scroll at the bottom of the TV explaining to you how you're getting screwed by your provider, either Dish Network or DirecTV, or you're about to lose your local programming because those big companies are hosing us. There's always a scroll. You're about to lose this. You're about to lose that. Hey, the only thing I notice is when the scroll comes out the bottom and say, hey, you know what? If you don't act right now and call Spice TV, you're going to lose it. And I go, okay, I got to call. The hell with local programming. I'm going to call, make sure Spice is still on there. So what's 13 going to do with, like, Dr. Phil tomorrow? You going to move that somewhere else? I love it, though. I love Wednesday afternoon NFL, baby. Hey, I got a lot of questions via Twitter. I'll get back to those in a second. I'm Hotep's trying to find something that you can't find that's not real. More power to him. And Inside the Lounge on YouTube Live, everybody. Thank you very much. And again, Indiana Grand on Thursday with Brent Halverson, Larceny Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. And Friday, Buffalo Wild Wings in Castleton on a Bud Light Blue Friday. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline from The Athletic. He is Zach Kiefer. All right. Reshuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic with that offensive line here. Or are they just going to go with what really helped do them in on Sunday? How's this going to work, you think, in Houston this Sunday?
Man, they're not going to put LaRaven out there left tackle, are they?
Well, I mean, you can see Phillip Rivers, to me, looks terrified with him out there. I mean, he does.
Tell.
I mean, there's no confidence, there's no comfort, there's no rhythm, and he's going to be really bad with Clark protecting that blind side.
And you know what, John, and I've done this long enough to remember certain things. We watch the same games they do, and I've heard this from Frank Reich the last couple of times LaRaven Clark has played. You know, after the first couple snaps, he did pretty well. Well, I would tend to disagree, and I understand Frank's covering for his players, but you just hit on it. Phillip Rivers does not look comfortable at all. I mean, Harold Landry had 3 straight rushes on the left side. The Titans knew exactly where to attack. Every fan out there watching on their flat screen saw what we saw Sunday afternoon. Clark cannot play. And what you got to do is you got to help him. So that means Mo Alley Cox becomes the 6th blocker, which really hurts you in the passing game. You know, with AC out there on Sunday, they had 150 yards on 2 drives. They scored 2 touchdowns, made 11 first downs. The minute he went out, the game changed. What did they do on their next 5 possessions? They punted every time. They couldn't play, and Rivers couldn't play. And if you go back to the other game that AC missed earlier this year, that was in Cleveland, and I know that's against Myles Garrett, but Rivers, that's his worst game of the year. You could tell he was flustered. He was forcing bad throws. He looked like a completely different quarterback. And I'm back on the Phillip Rivers train. I really think he made some of his best throws of the season on Sunday. This is before AC went out. I think he's good enough to carry them the rest of the way and get them in the playoffs. The caveat being you got to have 74 at left tackle. They're not going to have him at left tackle on Sunday, almost assuredly. What they do, you know, I threw the question out to Frank Reich this week. Do you move Braden Smith over to the left side? It's not as easy as it sounds, but you got to do something because you can't put 62 out there by himself.
And it sounds like that they're at least thinking about it. I think Quentin Nelson's name was mentioned as well, and I want you to talk about that. But then I also want to talk about something that we have all mentioned and had debates and our conversations about leading up to the start of the season. Why in the world did they not address this situation any better than they did? And here's how it came to me on Sunday. Like, I was in a debate with somebody on Twitter because, I know left tackles, all pro left tackles don't grow on trees or anything like that, but it's not, I don't think, that difficult to find one that might be a little bit better than what you have in LaRaven Clark as a backup right now. Why did they feel the need not to address that?
What they told us after training camp was that LaRaven had his best training camp as a pro. Now, what I would counter to that is I don't care how they play in training camp. I care how they play on Sundays. And going back to 2018 against the Eagles, I mean, he got destroyed on that last play, and they could have won the game. Look, Braden Smith, if you move him to left side, there's a little bit of concern that I have at least, because what does Braden struggle with? He struggles with speed. Braden is great in the run game. He's great at blocking, but he struggles with speed on the edge. And like you said, left tackles don't grow on trees. If you're going to get a good one, you're going to draft him in the first couple of rounds, probably 1 or 2, or you're going to pay a ransom in free agency because they just don't hit free agency. So, look, I think everyone's understanding how valuable Anthony Costanzo is. If you move Braden over there, what do you do at right tackle? You probably play Chaz Green. and you probably help one of them or both of them. We did ask Nick Sirianni today about the possibility of Quentin Nelson possibly playing tackle, and he seemed a little surprised by the question, which lends me to believe it's not being seriously considered. And here's another reason why. Quentin is playing hurt. I know this for a fact. I checked with someone on the team. I think everyone out there can tell he's got a back and he's got an ankle injury. Look, Quentin's not going to come out of the game unless he absolutely has to. He doesn't even like to miss snaps in practice. He's going to continue at left guard. They've got to figure out what they're going to do at tackle, whether it's moving Braden Smith over, starting Chaz Green, who they didn't want to play Sunday because they played the Raven in front of them. But the bottom line is this. I mean, this is what Nick Sirianni, the offensive coordinator, said today. He's like, we've been spending a lot of time this week thinking about J.J. Watt. And J.J. Watt's probably not the game record he used to be, but if you watch the game on Thanksgiving Day against the Lions, he can still change the game quickly, especially when he's playing a backup.
You could also make the argument that when they didn't address this, that, I mean, even though you got the 2-year heads up from Anthony Costanzo, which really kind of started, the off-season moves in motion. If you remember, I think they were waiting on that and his response first, and then they got to deal 13 for DeForest Buckner, and clearly that worked out as big as he's been on defense. But, I mean, still, you weren't going to have your average training camp. How can you even evaluate anybody's training camp when you had it in the fashion through a pandemic in which they did? That seems like fool's gold at best, and just not smart.
Yeah, and what do we not see? It's been 4 years of this, and I don't mean to pick on LaRaven Clark. He's a really nice guy, but I just haven't seen it for 4 or 5 years. To be honest, I'm surprised he's still on the roster. You got to deliver, and I understand that you're going to see a dip with a backup. We see it every week with certain spots, right? Danny Pinter wasn't Ryan Kelly, but Danny Pinter could play. I mean, you could see this kid has some potential. I've just never seen it with LaRaven Clark. I've never seen the physicality. I've just never seen the consistency. And like you said, look, they have the warning, and I wrote about this morning. The mock drafts. I mean, where are you going in round one? I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but number one, you got to think quarterback. Number two, you got to think left tackle, and those are hard to find, but it's time. And I hate to do before last season ended, I just kind of got a weird vibe from Anthony Costanzo, and we were back in the locker room at this point, so I was talking to him regularly, and I told Stephen Holder, I was like, I'm not so sure that he comes back. Remember, he was a free agent. We had some kind of interesting conversations with him, and then the day after they got blown out in Jacksonville, AC's like, yeah, I got a lot of things to think about. So he came back, and he's been really good, but left tackle becomes priority 1A as soon as this season ends, whenever it does. Because if he comes back next year, it's probably not 100% sure, but he is under contract, which makes you feel good, and he'd have to walk away from $17 million. You got to figure out who's going to be protecting whoever it is at quarterback moving forward, because you see how much the drop-off is with LaRaven Clark. And I just can't – you can't put your team in a position to fail. You cannot put this offense in a position to fail. And you can see they're doing that with the way Phillip Rivers plays when he doesn't have 74 out there.
Are they doing that defensively in continuing to play and start, in this case, Rock Ya-Sin?
Well, Rock was pulled on Sunday.
But he went back in.
Yeah, and he's struggling. Everyone can see it. We talked to Matt Eberflus today about it, and he said something I agree with. Rock has been better this year. There have definitely been some good games. If you go back and watch the tape, he played some good games earlier in the season. And I wrote that. And he's got a lot of mentorship from Xavier Rhodes. But the last two games have been awful, and he's making the same type of mistakes. And he's way too handsy late in routes, and you can't play him. And I think you're right. I think you're hitting on something. You just can't do that to your defense, because on that early third down, you finally get a third down stop against the Titans offense. You can't stop. Why does it come back? Because of penalty on Rock. So I think it's mental with him right now. I think he's got all the physical tools he needs, and I've seen him play really good for stretches in training camp against guys like T.Y. But I think mentally he gets beat late in routes, and he panics, and he starts using his hands, and I think referees know that. And we talked about this, me and Stephen Holder did on our podcast yesterday, you don't think Mike Vrabel's going up to the ref saying, hey, 26 uses his hands a lot. I've seen it on tape. That's working, and Rock is too handsy, and it's just leading to disasters for this defense. And when you're playing behind the 8 ball like they were on Sunday with so many guys out, when you make those mistakes, it just becomes a flood, and it was just terrible. So I don't know what you do, though, because I don't want to move Kenny Moore to the outside. I want to keep Kenny Moore in the slot. Do you start TJ Carey? I think they probably go back to Rock Ya-Sin on Sunday, but if he starts to play bad, you got to pull him.
He's a marked dude right now, too. He's a marked dude. He's going to be a marked dude for Deshaun Watson, and he's a marked dude from those guys that are throwing those yellow hankies. And that's a problem. I mentioned this too, Zach. I mentioned that he looks panicky. I mean, he really does. I mean, even in plays where you're thinking, man, it's not even coming in your direction, he gets panicky and reaches out and he grabs. And part of the issue with this is not just with the opposing quarterbacks and what they see on film and how they want to attack that. It's for the officiating crew that's also seen this on film. And once they see, his arms outstretched in a situation where there looks like there's contact or a ruffled uniform or anything, that flag's going to come out. And he's a marked dude right now.
You're dead on. And Rock knows this. We've had conversations about this. Remember the Denver game last year? He's like, look, you get a reputation as a guy who fouls, and you get called for fouls. It's the same thing in hoops. But the thing about Rock Ya-Sin that confuses me, and tell me if you agree on this. So he gets called for PI, and he's grabbing the guy the entire route, and he's holding his arm down, and it's the most obvious call in the world. And then he freaks out after the flag's thrown. That just tells me that something's not right up there. Like when you commit a penalty that's blatant, like, you just got to live with it. And I just feel like he's so tense. He's so worked up. Maybe it's nerves. Maybe it's something. But he's in his own head. That's just my opinion right now. They need to figure this out. This is going to go down to the position coach, Jonathan Gannon. It's going to go down to Eberflus because you can't keep playing a guy that's in his own head. And I don't know if that Texans have any receivers left to throw to. But if they do, like you've seen with Aaron Rodgers 2 weeks ago, like you saw with Ryan Tannehill on Sunday, if you're another quarterback facing the Colts defense, where are you throwing? I'm throwing Rock Ya-Sin's way all day because if you don't get a completion, you're going to get a flag.
And my point in all this is they don't have time to figure this out or, to help support and understand the feelings of their corner and make sure you don't damage him for the future. I mean, he was a game wrecker for them on Sunday. As much as Derrick Henry was against that defense, He was against his own teammates.
Yeah, you're dead right. And you're right. There's 5 games to go, and you're in a neck-and-neck race with the Titans for the division. You're in the 7th spot in the playoff race. Thank goodness for that extra wild card spot. But the bottom line is you don't have any room for error. And if you're not going to play a guy like Ben Banigou, who can't even get on the field, you can't play a guy that's going to give you negative plays every single week. You need to get guys back. And obviously Buckner's potential return helps everybody on the defense, including Rock Ya-Sin, because that pressure they're able to get. We haven't even gotten to the fact that they don't have a pass rush right now. But you're dead right. You don't have time. You do not have time to let a guy go out there and give you negative plays every week in the back end.
It's Zach Kiefer, The Athletic, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I talked to Xavier Rhodes yesterday, and he said absolutely everything immediately was squashed with Darius Leonard. And obviously, it came down to this. I mean, it came down to he was pissed at A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown said something to him. And I know Xavier's not a dude that talks very much, so that was surprising. And then Darius was trying to get him off the field, and he didn't really like that, and he got mad at what Darius said, so they had that little thing on the sideline, and clearly that's squashed. The one thing that continues, though, is there a point in time where Darius needs to realize that playing and proving it on the field is a lot more than talking about it, tweeting about it, reading other people's tweets about his play? I mean, there's a time and place for it, and I thought maybe after the game on Sunday wasn't it.
Yeah, that's a good point. We all know Darius. We all know what drives Darius. I mean, he literally responded to one of my tweets last week about how the defense was playing poorly in the first half against Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they were. That's a fact. Now, they had a great comeback, and they won, but that's what he lives for, and he hasn't changed yet. But when they lose to the Titans the way they did, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him as hot as he was after that game. I mean, he did a next question to one of our questions, which is something he never does. But this is the target on his back as one of the better defensive players in the league. This is the way he's going to be. But even Aaron Rodgers was like, I wanted to make sure you weren't being too sensitive. I mean, Aaron Rodgers hasn't even played Darius Leonard. Why is he going to call him the best defensive player, the best linebacker in the league, right? we'll see how this plays out, but I don't expect Darius to change anytime soon.
Zach Kiefer with us. What's the condition of Bobby Okereke going into Sunday?
That's the one we don't know. Expect Ryan Kelly to be back. They're very optimistic on that. I don't know about Bobby Okereke, but it sounds like, and COVID can change quickly, it sounds like there's a really good chance they get Danico Autry and Jonathan Taylor back. Probably DeForest Buckner as well. He wouldn't be activated until Saturday, but they play Sunday, and you'd rather have DeForest Buckner out there with no practice than without him at all.
Yeah, there's no doubt. DeForest Buckner was so missing on Sunday, and maybe still they get the advantage. Tennessee does with Derrick Henry and the way that offensive line was getting pushed. But, clearly him out of there, that's as bad. That's probably the same as what you see without Anthony Costanzo offensively out there. It's problematic to the point where, even when you live by the mantra of next man up, as everybody does in the football world now, that's just not – those aren't two things this team is capable of overcoming.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses, but that was my story Sunday. It's like next man up is this great cliche, and it sounds great, but when you're missing 4 starters on the offensive and defensive line, absolutely 4 of your best players, and Autry and Buckner and Kelly and Costanzo, there's no next man up when you're losing multiple Pro Bowlers. I mean, they have depth. We all know that. We've seen that this year, but you're not going to get the same production when you've got Taylor Stallworth out there for 60 snaps. Taylor Stallworth's a guy that probably should play 15. And Tyquan Lewis, probably the same thing. You're just not going to get the same production. And, oh, by the way, you're playing a freaking linebacker of a running back. Derrick Henry, Darius Leonard even joked last week that when he goes up against Derrick Henry, that wouldn't suffer if they had 6 guys out. 6 really important starters. So they've got to figure out, because they're not going to have all of them back this week. I don't think Costanzo plays this week. They're going to have to figure it out. But this was pretty absurd. This reminded me of the game in 2018 when they went to New England. If anybody remembers that one, they were down to 50 players. They had nobody up that day. Darius didn't play. Costanzo didn't play. They were playing guys I didn't even know were on the roster that night. And they kept it close for a while. But at the end of the day, players win games. And when you don't have any players, I'm talking real players, they were just way behind the 8 ball on Sunday. All
right. Still a playoff team, this Colts squad right now, and especially factoring in that you mentioned that it is likely that you're not going to see AC coming up on Sunday. I think we can certainly see that right now. But how long it's going to take to get him back? Is this still a playoff team in the AFC, which is incredibly stacked right now?
Man, I would feel better of this prediction if they had Costanzo healthy. You look at their last 5. They got Houston twice, they got Las Vegas, they've got Pittsburgh, and they got Jacksonville, right? No reason you can't win 4 of those. We'll see what Pittsburgh's doing in Week 16, whether they're playing their guys or not. No reason the Colts can't win 4 of those, but without Costanzo, it worries me. He's one of the top 2 or 3 most irreplaceable players on this team. Probably number 2 behind the starting quarterback. I really believe that. I think Sunday proved it. I want to see what they look like on Sunday. I want to see what the line looks like. But we've talked about this. If you're not a playoff team this year, that's trouble. That's trouble because you got an extra playoff spot that's available. You went out and paid a quarterback $25 million. You traded your first-round pick for a defensive tackle. That means the return comes immediately. When it's a pick, you can wait a couple years. They've gotten that return from DeForest Buckner. And if you don't make the playoffs with all those moves that scream we're ready to make the playoffs, that's trouble. It's trouble for Frank Reich and it's trouble for Chris Ballard. Neither of them are going anywhere this offseason. I really don't think that's the case. But this is a big gut check for this team. This is 5 weeks, and if they don't make the playoffs this year, that's what? They've missed it 5 out of 6 years, if you can believe that in this town. So
and 1 of 4 from Ballard too. And I've mentioned this as well as Chris has certainly drafted in areas. The deal for DeForest Buckner, I think everybody's incredibly happy with. But you go 1 of 4, and the 1 year that both he and Wright go is with Andrew Luck, and without Andrew Luck, you're blank out of luck, right? There's no genius in that. There's no genius in that, no matter what anybody says.
Yeah, you're dead on, and I don't want to I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I did have a conversation with Jim Irsay recently for a story that's going to come out possibly next week, basically on Chris Ballard's first 4 years. And I got breaking news. Chris Ballard's not going anywhere. Jim Irsay told me that.
No question,
Yeah. The bottom line, though, like you said, is how long do you get a pass for the unforeseen retirement that happened in August of 2019? You get a year at the very least, right? The roster is very good. I really believe it's really good. It's missing a couple pieces, one of those being the most important one. Jim Irsay knows it's going to take time. He's not going to put pressure on Ballard to rush the quarterback decision. I know it doesn't make fans happy right now, and they might have the quarterback on the roster on Jacob Eason. They might not. But they're going to take their time with this because they can't screw it up. We'll see what they could do. I think they could go in any direction. I think Rivers is a possibility to come back. I think Eason could be a possibility. I think the draft could be a possibility. But it's a big 5 games for this team. Let's not understate that. It's a really big 5 games for this team. And anything outside of the playoffs for this club is an abject failure, in my opinion.
No, there's no doubt about it. That's why my belief is, let's say if they don't make it, that these guys are going to get an ultimatum next year going into, and I know that's not going to, ooze, or create anybody's sympathy by virtue of an ultimatum, but I think they get that. And we'll see what Jim has to tell you once your article comes out. But Jim wants to win right now. And to me, quarterback-wise, it's hard for me to believe that Rivers is going to be back next year. And it's equally hard for me to believe that they're going to think Eason is the answer next year for what they hope to be as a football team built into now. And it's equally impossible for me to believe that they're going to draft a quarterback. Therefore, I think they're going to be back into a guy that's been there and done that at that position next year, or I should say in the offseason. That's how I view it. I don't think that they're going to put anybody in that situation where they feel that you got to wait and see what he can do.
And I don't like that. I'm just being honest. I don't like that without knowing all the options for sure. And that, I don't know if Sam Darnold's going to be out there. I don't know if Carson Wentz, I hear all the rumors too. I don't love that because it just rarely works out. Rarely do you get a situation where a guy is just reborn in another city. Granted, this is a good opportunity with the line, the running backs, Frank Reich. This is a great opportunity for a quarterback. I get that. But, look, DeForest Buckner is in his prime right now. Right now, this guy's in his prime, and you're paying him $20 million to be the centerpiece of your defense, and he is that. Darius Leonard, Quentin Nelson, entering their prime, entering the best years of their career. You need to have a quarterback. You need to have a quarterback because it will be a waste if you don't make the most of those guys, because those are generational guys. And those are multi-year Pro Bowl guys. Darius might end up with the Defensive Player of the Year one of these years. Quentin is a Hall of Famer. Buckner's a Pro Bowler. There's too much talent on this roster right now to not be making deep playoff runs very, very soon. Those are the expectations Chris Ballard has walked into as the general manager of this team, and these are the expectations that Jim Irsay laid out. When they talked, the first time they talked in their interview, Irsay said, look, I know it's going to take some time, but I don't want to just be a playoff team. I want to be a multi-Super Bowl champion team. And you know this. He always talks about those multiple Super Bowl trophies. Now we're talking about just squeaking into the playoffs in the 7th spot. The difference is the quarterback. You need to go find it, but no doubt the expectations are enormous. And getting into the playoffs this year would alleviate a lot of that pressure, I think.
I completely agree.
Forward while you get the quarterback figured out.
Somebody had asked me yesterday, Zach, so why is the big deal? The big deal starts with the owner. It's a big deal. The big deal also goes to the general manager and the coach. Or the general manager, if you missed this year, has only made it 1 out of 4 years, and the coach 1 out of 3. And you draft as well as you can, and you consider the luck situation, whatever, but it still comes down to looking at that and that being unacceptable here.
Yeah, Jim Irsay's not in this for playoff spots. He doesn't sell that to his fan base, and he doesn't expect that. And they're kind of sort of having to balance this weird, and this is in the story, like a team Chris Ballard often thinks about is Kansas City, right? They won before Mahomes got there. They were really good. They had 4 10-win seasons before Mahomes ever got drafted. But they made the roster good enough to when they were ready to make the big jump in the draft and make the bold move to go find the quarterback, they were really ready. So the Colts need to get to that point to where they're ready to really win until they can find out who this quarterback is. And that's really hard to do. I think they're doing it right now. I mean, if they win Sunday, they're 8-4, and they're probably headed towards a playoff spot. But like I said, there's 5 games to go, and there's a lot to see, and we're fresh off of watching them getting murdered by the Tennessee Titans on Sunday.
Hey, how much work does Eason get? Do you know?
Not a lot. Like hardly any.
I mean, would this be viewed as, is this a wasteful year for him? An educational year for him? I mean, what we don't know anything about him other than what we saw and what people told us when he came out of Washington. Do the Colts know that much more?
You know, they'd have to answer that, and they never would, honestly. I know from talking to someone close to Jacob Eason that he's not getting a ton of looks in practice. That's just how it is as a third-string quarterback. That's not Jacob Eason specific.
Right.
Look, I mean, Jacoby gets all the scout team reps because Jacoby's the backup quarterback, and he's got to get ready, and now he's playing every week. So that's not abnormal to Jacob Eason. He does see some practice reps. He got a couple weeks ago when Rivers was out, got to run the scout team a couple drives. But it's not a lot. It's just the nature of it. So he's spending a lot of time with Marcus Brady, and I do know for a fact that Eason is spending time after practice throwing. He's working with guys like Desmond Patman. He works with him a lot. And he does do this pregame ritual where he gets on the field and basically throws the route tree that Rivers will throw in the game. It's basically like the scripted plays the Colts have, at least for their first couple drives. So, look, to be honest, there's nothing you're going to really know about Jacob Eason, at least from the outside, until we see him every day in training camp, actually going against the ones. And then you just still don't know until you see him in a Sunday situation where he's playing every game when it really matters. But the early returns are good, and everything I've heard from around the organization is he's doing everything right. He's just going to have to prove it, whether it's next year or the following summer. You know, they're going to have to let this guy get a chance one of these days.
Zach Kiefer, when are you going to unleash the Irsay article?
Well, it's more of a Ballard article, but Irsay has a prominent voice in it. It's going to be maybe next week at the earliest, 2 weeks at the latest. So stay tuned. We'll see how they play on Sunday and if the story works or not.
All right. Always a pleasure, man. I appreciate you, Zach. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
It's Zach Kiefer, The Athletic, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. JMV, I know that you know Colt stuff here. Who exactly in the organization believes so strongly in LaRaven Clark and why? And we'll get back to that on the other side. But, we were just talking about that. And, the Colts mentioned at the end of camp at the beginning of the season that he made strides in camp. And my question to Zach is, how do you know? In as unconventional as camp was, how would you know? And I think we're finding out right now exactly what we knew is accurate. It wasn't all on him on Sunday. Don't get me wrong. But if your quarterback doesn't have that trust, and we know how he plays, uncomfortable and out of rhythm with that lack of trust, with that constant pressure, I mean, who knows? You got to do something else. And I mentioned this with both Clark and Rock Ya-Sin. You don't have time to sit around and wait and worry about the feelings or the lasting effect here. You got to get somebody in there that's not going to grab somebody that's not even involved in the play to extend a drive, to give up 7 points. You cannot wait for that. All right, you don't want to move Kenny Moore around? Understandable. TJ Carey in. I mean, anything is better right now because, as I mentioned to Zach, Rock Ya-Sin is a marked dude out there. And I think as Zach appropriately called, I mean, you got some stuff spinning around in your head that you can't get rid of. It's problematic, and you don't have time to sit around and wait on it. Quick one, we shall return. We're live on YouTube Live right now if you want to go there. We'll take your calls at 239-1070, emails at jmv@1070thefan.com, on Twitter at jmv1070. The Tuesday edition of this show is on 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
You're at home, and you could use a sub sandwich. But most places you go will serve up a sandwich made with cold meat, cold veggies, and little to no effort. You may as well make one of those yourself. Or you could order a Penn Station sub stuffed with grilled meat and melty cheese. Then pair it with fresh cut fries and a just squeezed lemonade. Good luck making any of that yourself. Order Penn Station in-store, online, or find them on DoorDash and Grubhub. Happy not sandwich making.
Hey, it's John here. Add a little bit of excitement to your football viewing enjoyment here. And I mentioned this, put a little skin in the game here. Always makes it fun. You can do that with America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. So just place a bet on any game, and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back if you don't win your first bet, right? Hey, you got a Wednesday afternoon NFL tomorrow. Get a little action in on the Steelers and the Ravens coming up tomorrow, too. And remember, same game parlay that they have on FanDuel Sportsbook is awesome. You'll love it. FanDuel Sportsbook, use the promo code JMV. Again, that's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code JMV. 21 plus and present in Indiana. First online real money wager only. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly. Have you locked in on your refinance yet? What are you waiting for? Mortgage rates are still in the twos, but you need to get locked in now. You could be saving hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month. And how nice would it be to pay off all the credit cards and have cash in the bank? Get pre-approved for whatever lies ahead with a simple refinance. Apply online today with our 5-minute loan approval, only available at thehomeloanexpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Hey, it's JMV for LD Smith Plumbing at 317-284-9526. They're the absolute best, and one thing you don't want to live without is a battery backup on your sump pump. And right now, LD Smith Plumbing is offering a free primary sump pump with installation on a battery backup system in your home. 317-284-9526. That's LD Smith Plumbing. The best at following CDC recommended guidelines. For more info online, ldsmithplumbing.com today.
An unprecedented year like 2020 calls for an unprecedented holiday offer from Diamonds Direct. So, for the first time ever during December, we're allowing 4 years zero-interest financing on anything and everything. It's our way of helping you make her holiday one to remember. Just pick any beautiful piece of jewelry, take the price, divide by 48, and that's your payment. A $4,000 pair of diamond stud earrings is just $84 a month. And we have the gifts women love. Rings, earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstones, all new fashion jewelry from top designers. And of course, the largest selection of engagement rings and certified diamonds in the country. After all she's been through in 2020, now's the perfect time to let her know how much you love her. Reward her with a gift that is romantic, timeless, and symbolic. And with 48-month zero-interest financing, you can afford to splurge. Diamonds Direct, helping you make that magical moment this holiday season. Shop online at diamondsdirect.com or in person in our showroom. Diamonds Direct.
Keystone at the Crossing.
Hey, it's JMV for Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st Street and 37 in Fishers. My friend Eric Wilson and his team are ready to deal with the best selection and the brand new 2020 GMC Acadia, just like mine. And you'll love it, especially with the GMC $5,500 consumer cash discount. And Andy Moore discounts up to $10,000 off MSRP. Lease one today for $289 per month and zero down. That's Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st Street and State Road 37 in Fishers.
If you're like me, you sometimes let your hair get a little too scruffy. Well, break that bad habit and get to Lady Jane's in Greenwood on State Road 135, just north of Smith Valley Road. Treat yourself to a haircut, hot lather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our award-winning stylists for just $14. And if that's not enough, you can watch your favorite games on one of Lady Jane's flat-screen TVs. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Greenwood on State Road 135, just north of Smith Valley Road. It's wicked awesome.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Big Black Friday savings with no credit needed financing options available only at your locally owned and operated Big O Tires.
Hey, it's John here. Time for today's soccer scoreboard update. It's brought to you by our hometown club, the Indy 11. Indy 11 holiday gift packs are now on sale. They start at just $16 and include a mix of tickets to a 2021 game, team gear, and even, get this, Indy 11 coffee. Order yours at Indy11.com today. Champions League action, top matches from today. Liverpool 1-0 over Ajax, and it was Man City and Porto kicking that ball around to a draw. No score there. Sure. Indy 11 update. Brought to you by your hometown club, the Indy 11. Holiday gift packs now on sale starting at just $16. Order yours right now, indy11.com.
Snaps it back to Rivers. Intercepted by the Titans.
Well, that didn't go as planned.
Obviously, it was a poor effort by us.
No time for a letdown.
We have to play more consistently, really, in all three phases.
It's another AFC South matchup. The Colts travel to Houston to take on the Texans. Sunday, coverage starts at 10. Kickoff with Matt Taylor at 1 o'clock.
Touchdown, T.Y. Hilton.
Colts, Texans.
Your home for Colts football. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
This situation absolutely requires a really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part. We're just the guys to do it.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Welcome back. Eddie Garrison's with me. I'm JMV. Thank you for joining us. Greg Rakestraw, Sam Monson, Zach Kiefer. Tomorrow, Joe Wrights. And he'll help explain how convenient or inconvenient it would be to shuffle those offensive line deck chairs in order to protect the blind side better and give more comfort to the quarterback coming up on Sunday in Houston. Joe Wrights tomorrow. Kevin Bowen coming up tomorrow. IU basketball earlier today, they looked horrible, absolutely dreadful, awful, unwatchable in their loss to Texas in the semifinals of the Maui Invitational, 66-44, and the game wasn't even that good. Trace Jackson Davis had 17. That's basically it for IU, and they were terrible. So they're going to get the loser here of Carolina and Stanford. Last check, I think Carolina had the lead. Every time I look up, the whistle's blowing and a call's made, and it's Ted Valentine, which surprises nobody. Did you see him call the tech on the Stanford player for Duncan? Everybody hangs on the damn rim now. Pretty classic. YouTube Live shout-out here. There's Kyle Udemark's in the mix. Kyle Udemark's getting ready to go on a little short vacation. So shout-out to Kyle. Kyle chimes in. Irsay wants to win now, so a young quarterback like Eason won't start next year. I bet the quarterback is one of Rivers, Darnold, or Wentz, or maybe even Matt Stafford. That is certainly the logic here. It's not going to be a young dude. I mean, as much as you want to see Eason, as I mentioned, if he's not getting much work right now, what do they know right now any more than what we know? Seriously, not much. And the one thing we do know is the owner wants to win right now. He wants to win now, and he wants to win next year. He's not going to be waiting around on somebody's development. And his team doesn't have time to wait around on somebody's development. The resume of the coach and the general manager, there's not time to wait around on somebody's development. BT do with this, JMV. More seductive than 88 JMV? Come on, man, with your right. You're right. It was a pretty sweet. You got to admit, though, fellas, you got to admit if you heard the pajamagram read a little bit earlier, I sold you on me understanding what is necessary this holiday season for the love. You have to admit it. Hey, JMV, I tried to watch the IU game earlier, but I can't because of Bill Walton. As I mentioned this, it comes down to if you're watching it and you have zero rooting interest, Bill Walton's going to entertain you. If you care about the game, he is not. If you are losing, as IU is losing, there's no way in the world any IU fan wanted to put up and hear that. Otherwise, I'm entertained. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm not looking for any great insight anyway. I mean, hell, we watch basketball all the time. We need to be told all this stuff? Hell no, we don't. I mean, we can sit there and watch it. We're fine. I mean, especially with the IU game, shoot and miss. Get out rebounded. Wide open looks from Texas. I mean, what's to analyze about that? Nah, it just happens. If you're watching with a rooting interest, you're not going to dig it. I mean, if you're crusty, you're probably not going to dig it anyway. But let's be honest, if it's a Pac-12 game or a WCC Thursday or Saturday night special, you don't really mind it. You're probably entertained by it. You're probably more entertained than you would be watching Gonzaga take on San Francisco on a Thursday night at midnight. But if it's your rooting team, and if your team sucks as bad as IU did a little bit earlier, then there's no way in the world you're going to grasp it. So that part I get. James Marvin chimes in, JMV, as someone who watches the Rams on the reg, the answer is Jared Goff. The Rams lost because they have Jared Goff, and the Niners don't. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's funny, too. The Rams were on a roll. And then all of a sudden they weren't. It's so funny. Now, we got a conversation about Gordon Hayward, whether or not people wanted Gordon Hayward here. And Pacers met with the media earlier today, and Vic talked and really didn't say anything, which is probably good for him. I mentioned how image-damaging, transformation-wise, he has gone through over the past year. I mean, it's amazing. If you go back to his first year here, there's nobody out there that thought that his image was going to be where it is right now. It's amazing where it's gone. At least in the court of public opinion for Pacers fans out here. Hey, by the way, shout out to Pacers, the folks down there for the jerseys, the new city jerseys. They brought them in today. I'm assuming they brought them in for everybody, but I had a box on my desk. And I got to give a shout out to everybody with the Pacers for that. And I give it a shout out for me because I haven't been at my desk in like 5 months. So I went down there and there it was, but that's awesome. It looks great. So I know Rick and Eddie and those guys down there did that, so I appreciate it. And I am in love with the city jerseys. I love them. Awesome. But thank you for that. So the Pacers met with the media. Pacers didn't make any off-season moves of note. But as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the Pacers were in the running for Gordon Hayward. They had an offer there. One of the offer included Miles Turner. And Danny Ainge wanted to snake the Pacers, and good for Kevin Pritchard not being snaked. Yeah, it's funny. I see Brad Stevens is doing his meeting with the media with the Celtics. He was quoted as saying regarding Gordon Hayward, I thought he made every effort to help us win and help what we could do as a team. We all wish him well. I'd like to – I wonder if they're still on the same page here with one another. You think the way that went down and then the end of Gordon in Boston has brought any ill feelings, you think, to that relationship? That makes you wonder. Hey, listen, if you're Gordon, you're going to get paid just a buttload of money. And then if you have anything left for the next 3+ years, give it to Charlotte. I mean, turn around that thing for the first time in forever down there and be known as a hero. I would say that about Vic. Vic and, thinking about, wanting to be the guy in a bigger market or being in Miami or in New York or wherever. Same thing with Paul George in L.A. Now, at least he was from Southern California. That made a little bit of sense, certainly. Not the way he handled things didn't, but that did make sense. But you can do all that crap here. As I mentioned earlier, my kids come up with every day these new stars of YouTube. These dudes out there that play games. They're playing Atari 2600 stuff. They're playing Missile Command. And they got blue hair, pink hair, or yellow hair, or whatever. And they're these huge YouTube stars. I mean, if you're good enough, if you're talented enough, especially playing off of what you're doing in the NBA, that stardom's going to find you. It doesn't matter if you're here or in Miami or in New York or in Southern California, but what you're going to be here is embraced. What you are in Miami, if you're a member of the Heat, not named in the past LeBron James or Dwayne Wade, you're going to be lost in the shuffle. You're going to be an afterthought. Nobody's going to care. I care about you here. It's always the one thing The one thing that in this market where we're always kind of woe is us, nobody wants to come here, the one thing that dudes realize that most of the time when you perform at a high level, you are loved and embraced, and you're also left alone. You're an afterthought in other places. Just to watch the spiral of his image here has been really, truly unbelievable. It has. All right, quick break. We'll come back for a final time, set the stage for tomorrow. Oh, yeah, I got news regarding the New Year's Eve JMV takeover you're going to love, and how you can win some stuff, too. I'll tell you about that next.
When the Colts are on the road, BetMGM and The Fan want to crash your bash. Visit 1075thefan.com and sign up on the contest page for your chance to have your bash crash.
Don't let winter catch you off guard. Be prepared with Aaron's, the king of snow, a trusted name that won't let you down year after year. Aaron's snowblowers are handcrafted in the USA with powerful engines that won't bog down in any condition. Trust Aaron's to throw snow better and farther than any other snow throwers out there. Aaron's Snow Throwers offers all-day performance, world-class engineering, and a lineup of machines to fit every need. Throw back what Old Man Winter dishes out with Aaron's, the king of snow. Visit your local independent Aaron's dealer today.
Hey, John for Connecticut. Shout out to Joe, John, and Dennis. I mean, the trio of great dudes that their focus is making sure you, Central Indiana, you, State of Indiana, you and the listening audience have the best water possible because it makes such a huge difference. Drinking, the smell of it, the bathing, the washing of clothes. If you don't have Connecticut water, you do not have the best. And they're out there actively helping you with great deals, especially this time of year. Moving toward the holiday season. Actually, we're in the holiday season, but moving toward the Christmas holiday, giving you great deals on the Premier Series water softener, on the K5M home drinking water station, all game changers and all with great prices with Joe, John, and Dennis and Connecticut right now. The two locations, Northeast Side, Castleton. Ask about it today. South Side, US 31 and Southport Road, the Connecticut Water app. Download that to your smartphone or device for deals, discounts, and more. And informationally, it's all right there for you. ConnecticutIndy.com. Happy holidays.
Every play is a play to bet on. Whether it's who scores next, a three-pointer, or a free throw, it could be the play that matters to you. So bet live at Unibet Sportsbook. Live betting options for every moment of the game. Sign up today and get $250 in risk-free bets. Download the app or visit in.unibet.com. Unibet Sportsbook. Crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in Indiana. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Bowling, bowling, bowling. Keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin.
Royal Pin Entertainment offers fun for the entire family, and bowling is even more fun during the cold weather. Royal Pin Entertainment takes reservations at royalpin.com, so there are no long lines, and bowling can be enjoyed by the entire family. And on Sundays, kids bowl free until 1 in the afternoon. Everyone can become an Open Lane Rewards member just by downloading the Open Lane app and earning money-saving discounts. Bowling's fun and affordable, too. Monday's draft beer's just $3 each on all brands. So gather your crew and join in at one of the Royal Pin Entertainment modern locations. To check out specials, go to royalpin.com or download the app. Get ready to roll at Royal Pin Entertainment.
Royal Pin. Bowling, bowling. Royal Pin. Bowling.
Hey, John here for Heaven Hill Distillery. Of course, that's where you get Brent Halverson, and you get the greatness that is Larceny Bourbon and Luna Azul Tequila, and we lock them together, and we give you our picks, our locks, and our shots each and every week. Week 13 of the Crosshairs beginning Thursday, Indiana Grand, outside of Fairland, Indiana. That is coming up on Thursday. You could join us there because I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, we give away cocktails. We sit there and you drink with us. We have cocktails and we make our Week 13 picks. The Larceny Locks, the Luna Azul Tequila shots with Brent Halverson. Week 13 picks coming up, Indiana Grand, Fairland, Indiana, Thursday. 93.5, 107.5, 1070, The Fan.
This is Jerome Bettis.
and I want to introduce you to my friends at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Bet Rivers is the #1 sportsbook across the way in Illinois and the trusted partner of French Lick Casino here in Indiana. Bet Rivers truly cares about your satisfaction and works hard to deliver a sports betting experience second to none. Make your next bet with the trusted team at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Go to betrivers.com and bet with the winner.
Must be 21 or over to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448. Playable only in Indiana.
Lower your rate, pay off your credit cards, get caught up on your bills, stick some cash in the bank, and start the new year off right with a simple refinance at thehomeloanexpert.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Say, man, you got a joint?
No, not on me, man.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
We have had a great day. Really enjoyable. Thank you for being a part of it. Hey, our New Year's Eve party. I'm going to be an all-request New Year's Eve JMV takeover. That's when I'm officially coming back down the hall on B1057. It's brought to you by our friends at Evan Williams. So Evan Williams and, you're going to love this, Mick Ultra bring us to you. We're also going to give you the chance to win 3 prize packages where we bring the product, courtesy of Evan Williams and Mick Ultra, to your house. We'll drop it off at your place so you can celebrate by listening to me on B1057 on the JMV Takeover. Drinking the product that's sponsoring the show. I'm going to tell you this. I haven't got the official okay, but what is it? Get the GTF 2020 is what I want to call this. I don't know if that's going to clear the censors here down the hall, but that's what I want to call it. I want it to be 2020. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord splits you. I mean, we are kicking 2020 the hell out of here on New Year's Eve. And if you thought Halloween was great, if you thought July 4th weekend was great, if you thought at the very early stages when I had zero idea what I was doing and having a blast was great, this is going to be epic. Yeah, brought to you by Evan Williams and Mick Ultra. That is the JMV Takeover New Year's Eve right next door. And in fact, I'm doing this show right here from 3 until 6 on New Year's Eve and then going next door, and I'll go past midnight for you. That is going to be the next JMV Takeover. Brought to you by Evan Williams and Mick Ultra. New Year's Eve. What is it again? GTFOO? Is that what it is? H. Yeah, GTFOOH. That's a bit lettery. Not wordy, but lettery. I don't know if that's going to work. I like it, though. 2020. And your chance to win stuff, product from us for your socially distanced, responsible, protocoled New Year's Eve party. Great job, Eddie Garrison, Rakestraw, Monson, Kiefer podcast. 1075thefan.com. Kevin Bowen tomorrow. Former Colts O-lineman Joe Wrights tomorrow. 93.5, 107.5, 1070 The Fan. Thank you, Pacers, for the gear. Have a great night.
Sports with Dan Dakich.
Nyheim Hines joins us. I'm not sure I've seen anybody run harder than you. How did you develop that style?
Just always being an underdog, man. I feel like I got a lot of dog in me. I've been short and small my whole life, so you got to find ways to break tackles. Not going down, not letting the first guy beat me. I'm a lot more physical than people give me credit for, so I'm going to just keep doing that. I'm going to keep going out.